Previously in chapters 1721 to 1740, Wang Lin invades planet 5 elements to force the hidden nails into the open. He breaks through the 5 elements formation, capturing the earth spirit, gaining the fire spirit and Apos' worship and successfully comprehending the water essence, his 8th essence, by turning the water general and Apos' refinement against him. By maintaining a calm heart, he neutralizes and reverses the 9-cycle heartwheel formation, trapping the Guei sect experts in their own illusion. Finally, he destroys the sect and Apos' tower, forcing the leader from the immortal astral continent, Senior Brother Ma, to appear and revealing the existence of a mysterious black armor. Utilizing the nether beast, Heavenly Tao, as a deterrent, Wang Lin retrieves his blood sword and retreats, having successfully identified the cave in Apos' final. Wang Lin retreated into the sky and landed on the back of the giant nether beast with 2 steps. The nether beast was invisible when Wang Lin summoned it. Now that it had appeared, Wang Lin painfully sat down on its back. He endured all the injuries in his body as he stared at Planet 5 elements. After seeing that there was no change to Planet 5 elements, Wang Lin knew that the other party didn't dare to gamble. In truth, even if they had dared to gamble, Wang Lin still had other options. He still had the Li Guang Bao. Although he was not willing to use it now, if faced with a crisis, he would use it without hesitation. Although Wang Lin had been injured on this trip to Planet 5 elements, his gains were also great. He pressed several times on his body and suppressed the pain. The nether beast slowly retreated and left the space around Planet 5 elements. It appeared back in the brilliant void. That old man named Ma's cultivation level is even higher powerful than the sovereign's. Even if he hasn't reached the void turbulent stage, he must have passed through several arcane turbulence. Also, the first floor of the tower contained a suit of armor instead of a person. This Guei sect's cultivation is very strange. They actually rely on the armor. That armor in the first floor likely belongs to the old man named Ma. If it really belongs to him, what cultivation level would he reach upon wearing it? Wang Lin pondered. After Wang Lin left, the old man named Ma became gloomy and stared at the sky. He hesitated and couldn't decide between holding back or attacking. He wasn't sure if Wang Lin really had backups prepared. However, since Wang Lin had dared to come to such a dangerous place and had even forced him to return the blood sword, Wang Lin must have come prepared. While pondering, the old man named Ma's eyes became cold. As he stood there, the surroundings were completely silent. The old man wearing the double element armor respectfully stood there and didn't dare to make a sound. There were also the 3 middle-aged men from the 5th to 7th floors. They all respectfully stood there and seemed to be afraid of this old man named Ma. After a long time, the old man named Ma suddenly said, "What do you think?" Although his words weren't directed at anyone, only Yunifeng pondered and slowly answered, "Junior doesn't believe that the Heavenly Tao can devour us. Uncle found some clues about the Heavenly Tao, and I went looking for it over the years. Although I found nothing, I have some speculations. The Heavenly Tao has been split. Although that child became its master, it is incomplete. Although the incomplete Heavenly Tao can devour all living things, it can't devour those with powerful cultivation. He must have come here because he found out we came from outside the cave world from somewhere. It is now the key moment to find the third soul, and he must be worried about this. Thus he came here to force us out of hiding, and now that he knows everything about us, he can make his plans. Of course, this is only Junior's guess. If this is really the reason he came, he is really something. That should be it. Aside from the Heavenly Tao, he must have a backup plan if he dared to calmly come here." The old man named Ma's eyes lit up and he withdrew his gaze from the sky. He looked at everyone present with a gloomy expression and was about to return to the tower. However, just at this moment, a calm voice echoed across Planet 5 elements. "Was it you all who said that the ancient Tao clan were all mere barbarians?" The moment the voice appeared, the expression of the old man named Ma changed. His pupils shrank and cold sweat covered his forehead. Although this voice was calm, it could make one's heart tremble. The old man named Ma wasn't the only one like this. Yunifeng's expression changed greatly and he didn't dare to move an inch. There was also the other 3. Their bodies trembled and their eyes were filled with fear. As for the old man wearing the double element armor, His face immediately turned pale and his eyes were filled with disbelief. That voice entered everyone's hearts, and a sense of fear erupted from their bodies. This fear was intense enough to destroy their life force. The three middle-aged men coughed out blood and their bodies trembled as they retreated. It was as if an invisible person had closed in and pushed them away. The world changed colors and the clouds scattered. As ripples echoed, a vague figure appeared and walked toward the planet. The figure wasn't tall, but his appearance caused the earth to tremble and caused Planet 5 elements to almost collapse. Everyone was filled with fear. It was as if this figure held the power to destroy heaven itself. After he appeared, the entire planet became dead silent. Even the sun in the sky disappeared. Was it you all who said that the ancient Dao clan were all mere barbarians before your Guei sect? The indifferent voice came from the vague figure. The figure walked forward, and no one dared to resist at all. The figure arrived before the old man wearing the double element armor, and causally grabbed the old man's neck. All of this happened far too fast, and the shocking pressure never stopped. The old man in the armor couldn't escape or resist. The moment he was grabbed by the figure, he began to struggle painfully. The vague figure gently waved his right hand and thunderous rumbles echoed. The old man's powerful Guei sect double element armor shattered like a piece of paper and dissipated. It was you who said it. The vague figure pulled the old man close and coldly looked at him. This scene caused the old man named Ma's legs to tremble. Not only him, Yunifeng was also the same. Grand Empyrean. The old man named Ma's lip trembled. There was only one person who could casually destroy the Guei sect's armor and question about disrespect to the ancient Dao clan. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo. The old man named Ma coughed out blood and retreated a few steps. The fear in his eyes was monstrous. You still recognize this old man? The vague figure's calm voice entered the ears of the old man named Ma. This caused his heart to tremble, and he continued to retreat. The old man named Ma's teeth trembled. He looked at the vague figure and clearly recognized what it was. This blur was not caused by a spell, but a unique effect resulting from the pressure of the 9 suns. The legendary 9 suns of the immortal astral continent, unless it was someone from the same family or generation, it was rare to see their appearance. The giant difference in cultivation level and the pressure of the Grand Empyreans created a strange atmosphere that made their figures blurry. If they didn't wish it, then it would be difficult even for another one of the 9 suns to see their real appearance. There was no need to talk about these people that were as weak as ants before Xian Luo. The moment his words echoed, Xian Luo gently squeezed his hand and a rumble echoed across the world. The old man that had lost his armor collapsed into flesh and blood that disappeared in Xian Luo's hand. Xian Luo casually killed someone and then waved his hand as if he wanted to wave away the smell of death on his hand. He turned and looked at the rest of the people here. As his gaze swept by, the hearts of everyone who was alive trembled. Aside from the old man named Ma and Yunifeng, everyone else's legs went soft and they knelt down on the ground. The old man named Ma clenched his teeth and forced himself to remain standing. However, his legs were trembling as he had reached his limit. Yunifeng's face was deathly pale and large beads of sweat rolled down, soaking his clothes. When Xian Luo's eyes swept by, it was as if the sky had collapsed on him, making him kneel and worship. However, the pride in his heart wouldn't allow him to kneel. At this moment he trembled and popping sounds came from his body. It was as if his entire body was being squeezed. Child, you are not bad. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo had his hands behind his back. After his gaze swept by, his gaze returned to Yunifeng. It is very difficult to continue resisting under my pressure. Unfortunately, you are not of the ancient Dao. Unfortunate. Xian Luo let out a sigh. When he withdrew his gaze, Yunifeng could no longer withstand the pressure. He coughed out blood and knelt down on the ground. The old man named Ma withstood for a few more breaths. His face was pale and he smiled bitterly before he gave up resisting. He knew that if he continued to resist, he would without a doubt die. His expression became dim as he knelt down and remained motionless. Please give Gui Sek's head elder face and let us leave. We will leave this cave world immediately and never come again. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo's right hand reached toward the first floor of the tower. The first floor collapsed, revealing what was inside completely. The black armor gave off a strange light as the rubble fell. I'll be taking this armor. When your Guei sect felt you have the qualifications to take it back, come take it from his old man personally. Grand Emperor Xian Luo's words were calm, and the armor seemed to be caught by a force of the 5 elements. The armor flew toward Xian Luo and disappeared before him. Then Xian Luo let out a cold snort and disappeared into the distance. After Xian Luo left, his voice entered the hearts of everyone on planet 5 elements. It's not time for you all to leave, do what you have to do. Only after Xian Luo had been gone for a long time did the old man named Ma stand up with a complicated expression. The rest also gradually stood up. Yunifeng clenched his teeth as he looked up at the sky toward where Xian Luo had gone. His expression was extremely gloomy. Sooner or later, I'll become a Grand Emperor, become the 10th son. Yunifeng clenched his fist. The surroundings were completely silent. After a long time, the old man named Ma let out a sigh. He looked around, and his expression was extremely bleak. The old man named Ma slowly said, "Forget it. The plan we have been waiting for has no chance of success now. Even if we were certain to win with him here, we can't finish it." That Wang Lin came from the same direction, but based on the fact that they didn't appear at the same time, and Wang Lin's expression from before, he doesn't seem to know about Grand Emperor Xian Luo. With that in mind, the reason why Grand Emperor Xian Luo is not letting us leave becomes obvious. Yunifeng spoke calmly. He was a core disciple of the Guei sect and someone even Xian Luo found talented. He was naturally very cunning and similar to Wang Lin in this respect. With such simple clues, he was able to get 80% or 90% of the story correct. What Feng Er said is correct, that should be it. Grand Emperor Xian Luo is obviously testing Wang Lin. He must have come from the immortal astral continent for this Wang Lin. The eyes of the old man named Ma lit up. A long time ago, Yemo died in this cave world and scattered 3,000 drops of his blood. This Wang Lin must have obtained Yemo's legacy and caught Grand Emperor Xian Luo's attention. Yunifeng's eyes shined and he began to ponder. Grand Emperor Xian Luo won't let us leave, because he wants us to become the stone to sharpen the knife, to test Wang Lin. Before he left, he said we should do what we have to do. If we don't understand his meaning, we will never be able to leave here. All of us will die here. Yunifeng rubbed his temples. As Grand Emperor Xian Luo walked through the stars, he looked back for a moment. Planet 5 elements appeared in his eyes, which glinted with a hint of admiration. That child is very cunning. Unfortunately, he is a celestial. I wonder who is more cunning between Wang Lin and him. It should be this person. Xian Luo shook his head and continued to walk forward. As for Wang Lin, he was sitting on the back of the nether beast with his eyes closed and was rapidly healing. He had been seriously injured during this trip to Planet 5 Elements, but it was all worth it. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and he slowly spat out a mouthful of foul air. The Guei sect is a powerful force in the search for the third soul. Now that they have been forced out of the shadows by me, it's time for me to get involved in the search for the third soul. The third soul, who are you? Wang Lin's right hand patted the back of the nether beast. The beast suddenly sped up and disappeared among the stars. When it appeared, it was outside the silver river around the new celestial realm. Wang Lin stood up and put the nether beast away. He pondered for a long time while floating there. His figure was lit up by the silver river but gave off a lonely feeling. It was as if his soul was feeling sorrow. Today is a special day. Wang Lin let out a sigh and stepped forward. He turned into a ray of light and charged into the silver river. He rushed through the silver river and entered the celestial realm. Just as Wang Lin entered the celestial realm, Grand Emperor Xian Luo walked out. He looked at the celestial realm before he waved his sleeve and followed Wang Lin. His figure was blurry and invisible. Even if you were standing in front of him, you wouldn't notice his presence. However, just as he entered, Wang Lin suddenly stopped and turned around. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he stared at Xian Luo. Xian Luo couldn't help but be stunned by Wang Lin's gaze. You have followed me the entire way. Since you already came here, why don't you show yourself? Wang Lin's voice was cold and full of killing intent. Grand Emperor Xian Luo's eyes revealed a strange light. He carefully looked at Wang Lin for a long time. He didn't speak or reveal himself. Could it be that you really want me to force you out? Wang Lin sneered and he waved his right hand. A storm formed by his 7 essences flew out and swept the area before him. As the storm swept by, Wang Lin stared at the void carefully, and after making sure there was nothing, he stepped into the celestial realm. In truth, he hadn't noticed Grand Emperor Xian Luo, but Wang Lin had always been cautious. If it was before, it would have been fine, but he had just left planet 5 elements. He was afraid the old man named Ma had secretly followed him, so he had decided to suddenly turn around. If someone had really followed him, they would have likely been fooled by him to reveal themselves. It wasn't until Wang Lin disappeared that Grand Emperor Xian Luo smiled and revealed admiration in his eyes. This little fellow sure is careful. His eyes contained some kind of spell that would have given people the illusion that he was staring at them. Although this method is simple and not every clever, it is very practical. Xian Luo smiled. He was indeed startled by Wang Lin's words and action. Inside the 5-element formation, I saw his domineering nature. In the 9-cycle heart wheel, I saw his comprehension. Outside the tower on planet 5 elements, I saw his decisiveness and cunning. Here I saw his caution. This Wang Lin is very good. However, the person I chose must value relationships. I wonder if he has it or not. Xian Luo pondered as he walked through the Silver River and entered the beautiful celestial realm. The sky of the celestial realm was blue with clouds that were like wisps of smoke. It was very pleasing to the eye. The ground was a crisp green with mountains and rivers in the distance. The fragrance of the earth fused with the world, and breathing it in would penetrate one's soul. Wang Lin returned to the celestial realm. Aside from Tao Master Blue Dream, no one else noticed Wang Lin's return. Wang Lin appeared before the mountain he had used for closed-door cultivation before. Looking at the sky, Wang Lin's expression gradually became dim. His eyes were gradually filled with thoughts and sorrow. Every year on this day, he wanted to make himself forget something. Most of the time, he made himself busy so he couldn't remember. However, right now, after everything had calmed down, he couldn't make himself forget. It's this day of the year again. Wang Lin lowered his head bitterly and sat down. At this moment, Grand Emperor Xian Luo was standing on top of the mountain and silently watching Wang Lin. After sitting down, Wang Lin let out a deep breath and his right hand reached out. The ghostly sail appeared and surrounded his body. It seemed as if he wasn't willing to allow anyone to see himself. He just wanted to quietly spend this day by himself. The sky of the celestial realm was clear and the sunlight was coming from some unknown place. The sunlight shone on the earth, and it wasn't hot but was warm. The mountain Wang Lin was at was very quiet. He was inside the ghostly sail as he looked up at the sky for a long time. One air. Soon I'll head to the immortal astral continent. There I will find a way to wake you up. Trust me, trust me. Just like what I promised you back then, even if heaven wants you to die, I'll snatch you back. Due to his quiet surroundings, his heart was calm and melancholy. Wang Lin vaguely felt like he didn't have much time left in the cave world. Soon he was likely to leave this place and head to the foreign immortal astral continent. Wang Lin had gone to a lot of foreign places in his life, and loneliness had accompanied him all throughout his journeys. Although he had been lonely, Li Muan had accompanied him, making his loneliness a bit lighter and bearable. Today is a special day. Wan Er, do you remember? Wang Lin couldn't remember his own age, his own birthday, but he remembered this day thousands of years ago. This was a day he could not forget. Every year on this day, he would spend it by himself, whether he was slaughtering to make himself forget, escaping to bury it in the bottom of his heart, or in closed-door cultivation where he silently passed the years. However, most of the time he would drink by himself. The spicy wine flowed down his throat, but he could not feel the spiciness because melancholy, loneliness, and loss filled his heart. No matter how strong the wine was, it wasn't able to wash them away at all. Wan Er, I accepted Li Qianmei, I'm sorry. Wang Lin silently pondered. He took out a jug of wine inside the ghostly sail and drank it. That amount of kindness is something I can't repay. Leonard, I don't want to love in this life because your departure let me know the price of love. I can't bear it. More than 2,000 years ago on this day, a cry for help filled with thoughts for revenge entered Wang Lin's heart. That voice was very soft, helpless, and would make one feel sorry for it. That voice made Wang Lin stop and turn his head. He saw a figure he didn't know but would remember for the rest of his life. This figure was his woman. Wang Lin's heart felt pain, and he drank all the wine in the jug. He threw it aside and took out another jug. Not far away, Grand Emperor Xian Luo was sitting there and looking at Wang Lin's back. The sorrow and loneliness being given off by this figure moved even him. Just wait for me. It won't be long before I can do it. Wang Lin drank a mouthful of wine and let it overflow from the corner of his mouth. He waved his sleeve and the heaven avoidance coffin appeared before him. Looking at the sleeping Li Muan inside the coffin, he revealed a gentle smile, but it felt like a needle had pierced his heart. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan for a long time before he gently opened the lid of the coffin. His left hand trembled as he slowly reached into the coffin until he touched Li Muan's face. He gently caressed Li Muan's face. The pain in Wang Lin's heart turned into a tide of sorrow that ruthlessly drowned him. Tears came from Wang Lin's eyes. His tears fell on Li Muan and wetted her clothes. Your sliver of soul is gone. It's not in the divine retribution anymore. But no matter where it is, no matter who has it, I'll take it back. Wang Lin murmured as he picked up the jug of wine and took a big gulp. His tears mixed with the wine and became bitter, but he drank it all. Wang Lin threw away the wine jug and his right hand pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. His left hand pointed to the spot between Li Muan's eyebrows and he closed his eyes. Ghostly face illusion. Dream for millennia. Wang Lin muttered as the ghostly sail around him distorted. The ghostly face roared and flew out. Then it disappeared in between Wang Lin's eyebrows. The fog around Wang Lin became dense, making it impossible to see everything inside. Xian Luo silently pondered, and his expression was complicated. He had some ideas and with a sigh, he pointed at the fog around Wang Lin. His divine sense entered the fog. Wang Lin, it's not that this old man can't disturb you, but I need to understand everything about you. I'm not only choosing my only disciple, I need someone that will protect my reincarnation and guard my ancient Dao clan. A very important person. Xian Luo closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, his mind entered the dream world Wang Lin was in. He felt the sorrow that came from this world. The sky was dark and there were monstrous flames in the distance, lighting up the sky. Sounds of slaughter and spells colliding could be heard in the distance. Wang Lin was standing there, and the confusion in his eyes gradually dissipated. He looked back at the direction of the Sea of Devils and slowly waited. After a long time, two rays of light flew by before Wang Lin's eyes. It was a man and a woman. The woman in front looked pale and frightened, her body shaking. This woman was like a lotus fairy, gentle and elegant. She was Li Muan. The man behind her had a face filled with lust as he casually chased after her. Little girl, your team of 13 people has been killed by me. Where can you run? While he spoke, he waved right hand. A large part of Li Muan's clothes were torn off, revealing her skin. As Li Muan let out a cry, the man sniffed his right hand. The lust in his eyes became even more intense. Just at this moment, Li Muan saw Wang Lin. Her heart was weak right now after facing humiliation and danger. She recognized that Wang Lin looked familiar. It's you. Senior brother, save me. As she spoke, she changed direction and instantly arrived beside Wang Lin. Her face was filled with anxiousness as she clenched her teeth and quickly said, "This person is the elder of the double cultivation sect from the country of Xianwu. He found out that I have a distant heaven pill. That's why he didn't hesitate." She was very clever and immediately revealed the distant heaven pill to make Wang Lin act. However, before she finished speaking, she was startled because Wang Lin was looking at her with a gentle smile. This gaze made it seem as if he was looking at someone he had loved for thousands of years. This gaze caused Li Muan to tremble. "You!" Just as Li Muan was about to speak, the young man in the distance smiled coldly. He naturally saw Wang Lin but didn't care at all. He raised his right hand and 8 flying swords appeared around him and shot toward Wang Lin like a whirlwind. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan and naturally caught her with his right hand. Li Muan's eyes were filled with shame as Wang Lin looked at the lustful youth behind the 8 swords. With one gaze, the 8 flying swords immediately became distorted and collapsed. As for the young man, the moment he met Wang Lin's eyes, his heart rumbled and he coughed out blood. Just as fear appeared in his eyes, his body was torn apart by an invisible force. Everything suddenly became silent. Li Muwen looked stunned at all of this and forgot to struggle. She was being held in Wang Lin's arms while his longing gaze fell on her. Senior brother. You? After a long time, Li Muwen recovered. Her face immediately turned pale as she looked at Wang Lin timidly with fear. Seeing Li Muwen like this, Wang Lin felt a sting in his heart and gently loosened his hand. I'm called Wang Lin. After Wang Lin muttered this, Li Muwen immediately retreated more than 1,000 feet. She paused for a moment and timidly looked at Wang Lin. She then bowed at Wang Lin and quickly left. Watching Li Muwen's obviously frightened figure, Wang Lin revealed a happy smile. However, the bitterness and sorrow hidden under the smile couldn't be seen by others. In the distance, Grand Emperor Xian Luo silently watched all of this, and even his heart felt a sting of pain. He looked at Wang Lin. He looked at the smile on Wang Lin's face and silently pondered. What kind of loneliness and sorrow could make one look for joy in a dream? Xian Luo let out a sigh. Wang Lin stood there with a smile until Li Muwen's figure disappeared. He then slowly closed his eyes and everything around him disappeared. When he opened his eyes, he was in the celestial realm, on the mountain looking at Li Muwen, who was sleeping inside the coffin. The sky was no longer blue, it was now night. The night had a dreamlike full moon hanging in the sky. There seemed to be two figures slowly walking together in front of it. These were the figures of a man and a woman. Looking at the moon in the night, a gentle breeze blew by, causing Wang Lin's white hair to flutter in the wind. This wind was very gentle, like Wan Er's hand that caressed Wang Lin's ancient face. One gaze was like 1,000 years. This night, the moon and the stars were scattered, and this night was sleepless. This night, with Li Muwen accompanying him, Wang Lin's heart was calm as he was not alone. The wind blew by, and as it blew, Wang Lin's heart also blew into the coffin. It lifted Li Muwen's black hair and gently blew past. The black hair in the coffin seemed to want to fly into the sky as well, but in the end it lacked the strength and drifted back down. It wasn't until the moonlight became thick that Wang Lin saw an old figure in the distance. This old figure was surrounded by a blue light, and beside him was a woman. This woman was Li Qianmei. The father and daughter seemed to have arrived a long time ago. They had watched Wang Lin enter the dream and had seen his tears fall on Li Muwen. Before Wang Lin's eyes, the woman and her father turned around in the moonlight and gradually walked away. However, their figures contained a hint of loneliness. This was especially true for the woman. Wang Lin closed his eyes and didn't say a sword. This night belonged to him and Li Muwen and no one else. The night was scattered a bit by the sun that was rising. Another color beside the moonlight appeared. At this moment, Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at Li Muwen inside the coffin. One gaze was like 1,000 years. Wan Er, wait for me, Wang Lin murmured as he waved his right hand. The coffin disappeared and Wang Lin carefully put it away. He faced the sky with the sun and the moon before letting out a deep breath. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself. It is time to search for the third soul. The seven-colored Taoist and old Ghost John should have all found some clues. Outside the celestial realm, it was as Wang Lin expected. Even after experiencing the heavenly Tao, they hadn't given up on looking for the third soul. At this moment, they were in the cloud sea, moving in a formation, and the gourd above their heads was spraying out large amount of fog. This fog was like a guide, and the four of them slowly followed it. They flew by stars and floating continent as they moved toward all heaven. Old Ghost John followed with a gloomy expression. They maintained a certain balance and wouldn't disturb each other. After a long time, the gourd above the four generals suddenly sprayed out more fog. The fog rumbled and formed a giant figure. This figure was not that of a human but a fierce beast that looked like a dog. It looked like a Qilan but was different and made of fog. Its nose moved as if it was sniffing something. A moment later, the fierce beast suddenly looked up and revealed a ferocious gaze. It jumped out from above the four generals' heads and charged forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed and all four generals became excited as they followed. Old Ghost John's eyes lit up. It was difficult to hide his expectation as he followed. The giant beast continued to sniff as it moved forward. Finally, It arrived before an abandoned continent and started to roar at it. The 4 generals quickly closed in and landed on the continent. Their divine senses shrouded the continent and began carefully searching it. Old Ghost John also landed on the continent and his divine sense spread out. But he soon frowned. This continent had been abandoned and was filled with ruins. A long time ago there was life here and a large amount of mortals lived here. However, right now everything had disappeared with time. There was no life on the continent. It was dead silent, and only the auras of a few fierce beasts remained. The 4 generals' eyes lit up and they looked at each other. When they did this, a destructive force surrounded the continent. In a flash, there was a series of miserable screams and a storm killed all the living things on this continent. After destroying all life here, strands of smoke came out of the continent and entered the mouth of the beast. After absorbing it, the beast shook its head and flew off. Ah, this is not it either. Although this not the place, the fact that the celestial sovereign's life fog beast stayed here to sniff means that the third soul must have spent a reincarnation here. The more the fog beast absorbs the third soul's reincarnation aura, the better it can judge the location of the third soul. It has already devoured several times, so it's almost time. The 4 generals looked at each other and then left this dead continent. They followed the fog beast to the edge of the cloud sea. This place led to all heaven. Old Ghost John followed behind. As he stared at the fog beast, his eyes lit up. It looks like the third soul is in all heaven. I spent the most time in all heaven. If the third soul is really in all heaven, then it is a person or a beast. In the other side of all heaven was the brilliant void. A 7-colored cloud rapidly moved through the star system. The 7-colored Taoist frowned as he looked at a drop of crystal blood in his hand. He had searched all of brilliant void aside from planet 5 elements. He had checked every inch of the star system, every planet, and every grain of dust, but in the end he found no clue at all. While pondering, the 7-colored Taoist raised his head. He had seen the third soul fly to the brilliant void in the illusion within an illusion inside the rift in the cloud sea. He just didn't know if the third soul had stopped at the brilliant void or gone through. Because at the critical moment, Wang Lin had interrupted his illusion and was forced awake. Thinking about this, the 7-colored Taoist became even more gloomy, and his hatred for Wang Lin became even stronger. Even without the illusion, with all the blood I collected during all the wars between the inner and outer realms, I can still find the third soul. If he isn't in the brilliant void, I'll go search Summon River. I'll search all 4 star systems if I have to. I don't believe the third soul can leave the cave world. The 7-colored Taoist had a grim expression as he flew toward the summoned river. As he moved forward, he was still looking at the blood in his hand. The blood hadn't changed this whole time. But the 7-colored Taoist knew that this blood contained the life of people from the cave world. If it encountered people from the cave world, it would do nothing. But if it encountered the reincarnation of something from outside the cave world, it would shine brightly. However, the range of the drop of blood was not wide, and there was only 1 drop, so it would waste a large amount of time. However, he had already waited for so long, the time it took now was irrelevant. As he stepped forward, the 7-colored Taoist arrived in the summoned river and began searching carefully. With this kind of search, the third soul couldn't hide at all. It wouldn't be long before the greatest secret in the cave world would be exposed. Wang Lin was also searching for the third soul. Wang Lin sat on the mountain and his divine sense shrouded the celestial realm. He found Xianxia in a wooden pavilion on a mountain in the northwestern part of the celestial realm. Red Butterfly was also there with Xianxia. The father and daughter pair lived there in peace. Right now, Xianxia was smiling at Red Butterfly, giving pointers to some difficulties she had in her cultivation. She was already very talented and had learned a lot. Cultivation emphasizes on emotions and ideals. Ideals are everything. And Xianxia's eyes suddenly lit up and he looked up in the sky. There was a flash of complicated emotion in his gaze, and a moment later he stood up. Butterfly, practice by yourself. Your father has something to do first. With that, Xianxia took a step and turned into a shadow that disappeared from the room. Red Butterfly looked at where her father disappeared and revealed a trace of worry. After pondering for a moment, she let out a sigh, closed her eyes, and she began to calmly cultivate. Ripples echoed on the mountain Wang Lin was on and Xianxia walked out. Senior brother Xianxia, help me find a soul. Wang Lin stood up and clasped his hands at Qing Shui. Qing Shui silently pondered and then arrived next to Wang Lin. His expression was complicated, and after a long time he softly said, "You know my identity." Wang Lin looked at Qing Shui and nodded. "Back in the seven-colored realm, you didn't ask me if I had found the answer. In fact, I had found it. I knew I was only formed by a soul fragment. Forgive me for not telling you about this. I didn't want to admit it myself." Qing Shui closed his eyes and sat down before Wang Lin. Qing Shui muttered, "Do it. I don't know what method you will use, but I'll do my best to help you. I only know the senior brother Qing Shui is one of the 7 fragments. As for the other 6, I have no clue. But senior brother can rest assured. No matter what, I won't allow the 3 souls to fuse and devour the 7 fragments. When I find the 3rd soul, I'll kill it." Wang Lin's right hand pointed to the spot between his eyebrows and the ghostly sail flew out. It rapidly expanded into a giant ghostly face that floated above the 2 of them. The ghostly face looked fierce and charged at Wang Lin and Qing Shui. It opened its mouth and instantly devoured the 2 of them. The moment the 2 of them were devoured, their minds rumbled. It was as if thunder had exploded and brought their divine senses back to ancient times, when the 7-colored celestial sovereign's soul split into the 3 souls and 7 fragments. Search for the 3rd soul. It was similar to how he had entered the 7-colored Taoist illusion, but this time Qing Shui was the guide. Wang Lin was using the ghostly sail to enter the illusion to find the truth of the ancient past. Inside this illusion, the sky was blood red and the earth was also red, as if it was soaked in blood. The smell of blood was too thick, and right after Wang Lin appeared, he felt a suffocating feeling from his chest. It was as if a large rock was on his chest, making it difficult to breathe. Looking around, Wang Lin saw pieces of bodies covering the ground. There were bodies everywhere, but very few were complete. There were still eyes filled with fear before death. There was also the vague figure that had been imprinted into the eyes. This was a mortal palace. Normally, this place would be bright, but now it was covered in blood, making it a palace of death. A thunderous bang came from the distance. As large amounts of dust scattered, Wang Lin saw a palace collapse in the distance. There was a man covered in blood holding up a man in a royal robe. His gaze was cold and he was shrouded by a crazed killing intent. "Your family destroyed my family before, today I'll repay it." The man squeezed his right hand and the old man in the royal robe exploded. Blood splattered on the man's body and face. At the same time, countless rays of sword energy closed in. It was hundreds of ancient cultivators closing in and arriving above the palace. However, just as they closed in, the man suddenly looked up and his eyes revealed a demonic red gaze. The red light flew out and turned into a bolt of red lightning. It flew into the sky and pierced through all the cultivators. It only took a moment, and the hundreds of cultivators trembled before they collapsed. "Ji realm," Wang Lin muttered as he looked around. He looked at the blood-stained man and his eyes revealed enlightenment. "This is only the first illusion back in the country of clear water." Wang Lin stepped through the blood on the ground and walked toward the man. The blood dyed the earth red and the scattered blood carried Qing Shui's hate. It was so dense it couldn't be washed away at all. "If the heavens try to stop me, I'll kill the heavens. If the celestials try to stop me, I'll kill the celestials." Qing Shui looked up at the sky as the hundreds of cultivators collapsed. His face was filled with killing intent. "I want the world to be covered with rivers of blood. I want the world to pay the price and suffer my slaughter calamity." Qing Shui's voice echoed across the world, revealing the madness in his heart. When Wang Lin closed in, he looked at the back of Qing Shui covered in blood. His figure was very sad and lonely. Although the revenge was complete, there was no joy, only sadness and sorrow along with hatred and exhaustion from living. Wang Lin softly said, "Senior brother." The moment he spoke, Qing Shui suddenly turned around. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with killing intent as he looked at Wang Lin. If he was anyone else, the smell of blood and killing intent would have made him tremble in fear and retreat. However, Wang Lin didn't. Qing Shui's killing intent was monstrous, but he, Wang Lin, was the same. In the end, they were the same kind of people. The reason they could have such a deep friendship and be willing to die for each other was because of this. Qing Lin's eyes filled with killing intent could not shock Wang Lin. Wang Lin also didn't only see killing intent in Xingshui's eyes. He saw pain, sorrow, and melancholy. Just like when he got his revenge against the Tang family. This is an illusion. It is true and false, but it is not our destination. Senior brother, sit down, we will enter the second illusion. Wang Lin whispered as he walked toward Xingshui. Xingshui silently pondered until Wang Lin was next to him. Then he slowly closed his eyes. However, 2 lines of tears flowed down and washed away the blood marks on his face. The tears flowed down along his neck and fell on the ground, mixing with the blood. Sit down, okay? Wang Lin stood before Xingshui and placed his hands on Xingshui's shoulders. After a long time, Xingshui nodded and sat down with a bitter expression. He let out a deep breath and opened his eyes. Wang Lin, is this only the first illusion? Yes, this is only the first illusion. Wang Lin also sat down and looked at Xingshui's eyes. A very realistic illusion, Xingshui murmured and looked around. In the end, his gaze fell on an intact tree in a palace in the distance. This tree seemed to have existed for a long time, struggling to survive. Looking at the tree, the slaughter in his eyes gradually dissipated, and in the end, he let out a sigh. Let's enter the second illusion. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and his arm opened. He waved his sleeve and the world of the first illusion began to distort. A rumble echoed and strands of black gas came out of the blood on the ground, and the broken arms on the ground began to rotate. In the end, everything in the first illusion gave off black gas and gathered above Wang Lin and Xingshui to form a giant ghostly face. The ghostly face gave off a silent roar and devoured the two. The moment it devoured them, Wang Lin and Xingshui's hearts rumbled. A giant vortex appeared, pulling their souls and divine senses into the ancient past. The world was in chaos and this was the core of the cave. This was the center of the cave world and where the door leading out of the cave was located. At this moment in this core area, the heavenly Tao opened its mouth and devoured Lian Daofei. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and it was at this moment that Wang Lin appeared. This looked exactly the same as the illusion the 7-colored Taoist was in. Lian Daofei's angry roar echoed as the heavenly Tao was split and suffered serious injuries. At the same time, the 7-colored celestial sovereign had a sorrowful expression as his body collapsed. His body was completely torn apart, and his origin soul and soul mixed before exploding into the 3 souls and 7 fragments. They scattered in all directions. This was different from when Wang Lin entered the 7-colored Taoist's illusion. This time he was the owner of the illusion, so what he saw was much more clear. The first thing he saw were the 7 fragments. The 7 fragments had the colors of the rainbow. The 7 different colored fragments scattered to be reincarnated. One of them was bright red. This fragment controlled slaughter and contained the 7-colored celestial sovereign's shocking slaughter. There were countless souls around the red fragment. They were all souls of people the 7-colored celestial sovereign had killed. At this moment, the red fragment devoured them all and shined brightly as it flew into the distance. Wang Lin felt Xingshui's aura from this fragment. The moment the red fragment disappeared into reincarnation, Wang Lin saw a figure condense inside. This figure was Xingshui. There was also a fragment that was blue, and this fragment contained the 7-colored celestial sovereign's talent. To be able to reach void turbulent meant he must have had the talent of a heaven's favored son. This blue soul quickly flew away, but once again, Wang Lin felt an aura he was extremely familiar with. This aura caused his heart to rumble, and he almost gasped. The moment the blue soul was about to disappear into reincarnation, Wang Lin saw a fuzzy figure inside the fragment. This figure was Situ Nan. No wonder Situ Nan's progress is so shocking and his cultivation level is constantly changing. So he is the 7-colored celestial sovereign's talent fragment. The third fragment was orange. This orange light was soft but was filled with a righteous aura. As it flew, all evildoers would tremble under this orange light. This orange light was the 7-colored celestial sovereign's conscience. The soul formed from the third fragment would be someone of integrity. In order to protect someone or something, he would do whatever it took, and no temptation would be able to move him. The moment this fragment was about to disappear into the reincarnation cycle, Wang Lin was shocked to find that the figure was Qing Lin. Qing Lin was the emperor of the Rain Celestial Realm. He had suffered temptation from the sovereign and was almost killed. However, He had done all of that to guard the Rain celestial realm. All of this was because he was the third fragment. There was also the fourth fragment. This fourth fragment was yellow and its light was bright enough to light up the star system and almost compete with the three souls. The yellow represented luck. This soul would become someone who would have heaven-defying luck that would make anyone jealous. This person was like someone made by the heavens. Wherever he went, treasures would come to him. Whenever he encountered an enemy, they would likely kill themselves. When the fourth soul fragment of luck was about to disappear into the reincarnation cycle, Wang Lin saw Greed's vague figure. The fifth fragment was green. This green light represented a tree with the intent of spreading out its branches. This fragment was formed by the instincts of the seven-colored celestial sovereign. If this soul was immortal, then he would have many children. If this soul was a cultivator, his cultivation level wouldn't be high, but he would be very good with avatars like the branches on a tree. This soul was covered in green light and was not bright. It faintly disappeared into the reincarnation cycle, but Wang Lin still saw the blurry figure that appeared the moment it disappeared. Taoist scattered spirit. It's him, Wang Lin muttered. The shock in his heart seemed to have been accumulating for over 2,000 years. The sixth fragment was indigo. This indigo light gave off two feelings. One was gentle like water, and the other was cold like ice. This indigo fragment was formed by the love the celestial sovereign had. Although he had many concubines, he only had one Tao partner, Fang Shanmeng. The sixth fragment contained his complicated feelings about love. He loved Fang Shanmen but also hated her. Because of this love and hate, the sixth soul was different from the others. The sixth fragment was not a man, but a woman. The aura that came from this woman caused Wang Lin's heart to tremble violently. He suddenly looked up, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He never would have expected her to be one of the seven-colored celestial sovereign soul fragments. When the sixth fragment dissipated, a blurry figure was revealed. This figure contained indifference and gentleness. Her complicated expression continued until the indifference covered up the gentleness, so others would only feel the coldness. Wang Lin's face was pale. He recognized that figure. He didn't dare to believe this was true. Mu Bingmei. Mu Bingmei was an intersection between gentleness and indifference. Her life, no matter how many times she reincarnated, was the same. Her relationship with Wang Lin could only be described as complicated and complicated. The seven fragments separated into their individual souls. Although they had some links between each other, the connections were very weak. Unless the three souls fused, the seven fragments would remain separated and continue to reincarnate like everyone else. The seventh fragment was purple, the extreme color. The seventh spirit was the seven-colored celestial sovereign's anger and madness when he collapsed, along with his unwillingness. He hated the heavens, he hated the earth, and he hated the woman he loved. His life might have been beautiful, but he was a pitiful person until he collapsed. His anger wouldn't dissipate, and it fused with the seventh fragment. This fragment was the first one to disappear, and it was clouded by the seven-colored celestial sovereign's anger and madness. Wang Lin was unable to see who was inside the seventh soul. However, he vaguely had a feeling that he had met the seventh fragment before. All of this happened in an instant, and the seven fragments dissipated. The shock Wang Lin felt was no weaker than finding the real third soul. The three souls appeared after the seven fragments scattered, and they split in three different directions. One of them gave off a powerful seven-colored light, and seemed to be heading to what would become the outer realm after countless years. There he became the seven-colored Taoist and inherited all of the seven-colored celestial sovereign's spells. The second soul flew out into the opposite direction and entered reincarnation. After countless reincarnations, it became an ordinary-looking beast in all heaven. His memory slowly awakened, and the moment he completely awakened, a dying old man smashed into the planet he was on. This old man was Old Ghost John. He had failed his arcane tribulant, so his body was rotting and his origin soul had collapsed. In his dying moment, he let out a miserable smile. He saw a strange beast with a strange gaze jump at him. This was the celestial fortune Old Ghost John had found. Wang Lin saw all of this. He also saw the third soul. The third soul flew to the furthest place, away from the core of the cave world and into the horizon. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to immediately chase after it at full speed. This was his second time pursuing it. This time, there was no seven-colored Taoist or anyone else to disturb him. He had to find out who the third soul was. Wang Lin could feel that the identity and location of the third soul was about to be unveiled. The third soul flew through the summoned river and arrived in Brilliant Void. It slowed down in the Brilliant Void as if it was looking for a place to reincarnate. Wang Lin followed it, using his full speed to barely keep up. He looked at the third soul, but it was cloudy without any shadow inside. It was obviously different from the other two souls. Before it reincarnated, there was no appearance. The third soul paused outside an abandoned planet for a bit. However, in the end it didn't choose this place and flew past. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin was still following the third soul. After the third soul circled around the Brilliant Void, it suddenly sped up and shot toward the cloud sea. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He estimated the time that had passed. Back then, the seven-colored Taoist must have only seen the third soul enter the Brilliant Void and never saw it fly toward Cloud Sea, because he had been awakened by Wang Lin. However, when Wang Lin thought about this, he felt a sudden chill in his heart. This chill came from a thought that appeared in his mind. This third soul circled around the Brilliant Void as if it was looking for something. Or perhaps it knew that the seven-colored Taoist would look for it countless years later, so it purposely delayed in the Brilliant Void. Wang Lin shook his head. He felt like this idea was simply too absurd. The third soul flew toward the back of the Cloud Sea and entered a wild planet. Wang Lin arrived and stared at the planet. Time passed. On a certain day, the planet collapsed and scattered in all directions. Large amounts of dust spread out surrounding the planet. On one fragment, a python died and a ray of light flew into the star system. Wang Lin was shocked and moved at full speed, following that ray of light. He had found traces of the third soul's reincarnation, and now he was going to find who the third soul had reincarnated into. Was it a mortal, a cultivator, or a flower or tree? Perhaps still a fierce beast. Wang Lin pursued the third soul for an unknown amount of time across the 4 star systems. He saw the third soul reincarnate time and time again. For one reincarnation, the third soul was a mortal scholar. This scholar was a nerd and only knew how to read books until he got a position as an official. After the scholar died of old age, the third soul flew out to the next reincarnation. There were men and women. That time, the third soul reincarnated into a towering tree. During those 1,000 years, it grew from a seedling until it withered and died. One time, it reincarnated into a cultivator. This cultivator's cultivation level wasn't high. He had only managed to reach the core formation stage in his lifetime. He died when his lifespan ran out. Time continued to pass until the third soul chose to reincarnate on a planet in the Brilliant Void. That planet was very familiar. Wang Lin was shocked to find that this place was planet Suzaku. When Wang Lin saw this, his mind trembled. He didn't know if this was the end, but when he saw planet Suzaku, he vaguely guessed something. This third soul turned into a mortal on planet Suzaku. This mortal didn't cultivate, but his life was extremely bright. He became the grand scholar of the country of Zhao. His name was Su Dao. Wang Lin didn't see himself, but the shock in his head was like a monstrous wave. He didn't know why this person had appeared in his dream Dao. He didn't know why Su Dao had accepted him as a disciple in the dream Dao. It was as if there was a cycle of karma between them. However, Wang Lin couldn't find the karmic cause. He could only see the karmic effect. His karma was originally complete, but when he saw the third soul turn into Su Dao, he became confused. In his confusion, he saw Su Dao die of old age with a smile. After he died, the third soul flew out and changed directions once more. This time it went toward all heaven. Wang Lin's heart trembled. Looking at how long had passed, it was getting close to the last reincarnation. He followed the third soul deep into all heaven, and the soul became a fish in a river on a planet. This planet was called Planet Qingling. This fish slowly grew up and swam through the rivers. It spent its entire life like this until it died. However, what made Wang Lin focus was that unlike before, the third soul didn't leave the planet like it did in the past. Instead, it reincarnated into another fish in the river. Again and again, it chose to reincarnate into the same river. It seemed to be waiting for something. This strange phenomenon made Wang Lin look at the familiar planet with a strange expression. and he vaguely had a guess. Wang Lin watched the third soul reincarnate hundreds of times. During the last reincarnation there was a fisherman fishing, and the fish that was the third soul bit the bait on the hook. The fisherman pulled up the fish while laughing. It was as if it had reincarnated hundreds of times waiting for this fisherman, waiting for this bait. Neiz is about to give birth. Today I'll just catch this one and go home. The fisherman was a man about 30 years old. He was not big and looked somewhat weak. He didn't look like a fisherman, more like a scholar. He raised his hand and looked at the fish on his line. The sunlight shined off the stomach of the fish and made it look extraordinary. The man smiled and put the fish into a canister filled with water. He then left with the canister. Wang Lin looked at all of this and the speculation he had filled his mind. After a moment of daze, he followed the man. The man walked for a while and arrived at a simple house next to the river. The house was surrounded by bamboo to form a courtyard. There were some poultry crying out as they fought for food around a pregnant woman. The woman was wearing plain clothes, but they didn't hide her good figure. She was holding a basket and was scattering the feed from inside the basket. The woman seemed tired as she held the basket with one hand while the other hand rested on her waist. She wiped the sweat from her forehead as she looked at the door, waiting for her man to return. It was already the afternoon and the sunlight was dazzling. Shortly after, footsteps could be heard from the bamboo forest, and the woman's smile became even wider. "Su-er, I caught a fish for you." The footsteps stopped outside the door and the bamboo door was pushed open. The man walked in holding the canister with a smile. "I just suddenly wanted to eat fish. If I just endure it, the craving will pass." The woman's gaze was gentle. The man laughed and walked out to help his wife walk into the room. A moment later, smoke rose high into the air. From a distance, the smoke looked like a picture and gave off a certain sense of beauty. Wang Lin's figure floated inside the bamboo forest as he watched all of this and silently pondered. He vaguely understood that this might be the third soul's latest reincarnation. 3 days later, late at night, the world changed colors and thunder rumbled as rain fell. Large drops of rain hit the bamboos and the house. The sky and earth seemed to be connected by the rain. The lightning from the sky lit up the bamboo forest below. The pregnant woman was lying on a bed inside the house as she let out painful groans. Her hand clutched the quilt, and there was a midwife beside her. Outside the room, the man was calm as he looked at the rain outside. However, his clenched fists revealed the anxiousness in his heart. Time slowly passed. The woman's voice became even more weak. This made his heart feel even more pain. However, his expression didn't change. Instead, his eyes lit up as he looked at the sky darkened by rain. "I, Xie Dongming, have been studying since I was a child. I have stayed truthful and focused on my studies. While I was in office, I worked to help the people, and when I left, I never made any grudges with anyone. In my measly 33 years of life, I have never done anything I'm ashamed about. God, now that my child is about to appear, why do you make it difficult for NZ?" The woman's right hand hit the bamboo wall. Blood flowed down from his finger and dropped to the ground before it was washed away by the rain. Just as the blood and water fused, thunder rumbled in the sky. At the same time, the cry of the baby suddenly came from the room, and the man's entire body trembled. His calmness was replaced by excitement and he quickly turned around. The door to the room was opened as the midwife covered in sweat came out with a kind smile while holding a baby. "Congratulations, Lord Xia. Both mother and child are safe." The man excitedly walked up to the child and, after taking a look, immediately entered the room. Compared to the child, he was more worried about his wife. She was lying in bed looking very pale, but she had a gentle smile as she looked at her husband. The woman softly said, "It's a boy. Su-er, rest a bit more, I have already thought of a name. Since it's a boy, his name will be Xieching. I want him to grow up like the bamboo, be high off the ground and become a grand scholar." The man laughed. As he laughed, the baby held by the midwife seems to have stopped crying. He opened his eyes and there seemed to be a flash of mysterious light in them. The warmth of the room, the thunder from the sky, and the laughter of the man mixed together to enter Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin trembled as everything seemed to condense into that one roar that caused his body to tremble. Wang Lin retreated a few steps as he stared at the house, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He had a vague speculation earlier, and now it was confirmed, but it still set off a storm in his heart. At this instant, Wang Lin could no longer hear the thunder or the laughter from inside the house. The vision became blurry and he could only hear one voice echo in his ears. Xie Qing. Deng. Xie Qing. The third soul is Xie Qing. Wang Lin's mouth opened as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't know what he should say. His mind was a mess. When he started chasing the third soul, he had speculated on who the third soul was. He had thought of mortals, cultivators, and even fierce beasts, but he didn't expect it to be Xie Qing. It was actually his disciple. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale as he continued to retreat. He was the first person to know who the third soul was, but this knowledge left him with a difficult choice. To kill or not to kill? The world rumbled and the thunder became even more violent. The rain fell like crazy and the wind swept the rain, causing it to dance in the sky. Wang Lin could never forget that he lost himself here in confusion while searching for Tao. He had inquired the Grand Scholar about what Tao was. He had asked everyone he could ask until he asked Xie Qing. It was also Xie Qing that had given him understanding and enlightenment. He also couldn't forget when he sat on the peak of the mountain to cultivate, that Xie Qing, who was already old, had climbed up the mountain and insisted on learning Tao from him. I thought I understood everything about human relations and gained enlightenment in the world of academics. I gave myself the duty of civilizing the world. However, in my twilight years I suddenly gained enlightenment. I am a fish in the water. This was what Xie Qing had said when he climbed up the mountain. When Wang Lin heard this, he only understood the first few lines, but he didn't think too much about the last sentence. At that time, he didn't have any thoughts about pondering that last sentence, and even if he did, he wouldn't have found any answers. However, as he watched the reincarnation cycle of the third soul, he saw it reincarnate hundreds of times as a fish, and then realized that the third soul was Xie Qing. How could he not understand what it meant now? So it turns out I was a fish in the water. Wang Lin looked up bitterly at the warm light from the house. He remembered what Xie Qing had said, and he understood. Why would he meet Su Dao and have Su Dao guide him to become the Grand Scholar of not only Zhao but the entire planet of Suzaku? This was all karma. Wang Lin had thought that he had completed his karma, but he still found that karma was something you could see but not touch. Back then, I inadvertently gave pointers to Xie Qing and took him as my disciple. He was the seven-colored celestial sovereign's third soul. This created karma between us. This is the karmic cause. It was also because of this that Su Dao appeared in my dream Dao. In reality, he is my disciple, and in the dream Dao, I was his disciple. This formed a cycle of karma. I should have thought of this. Wang Lin took a step. When his foot landed, the world rumbled. The sky shattered into pieces and the earth collapsed as if there was a dragon moving below. Everything dissipated, leaving only the house and the warm and happy light that came from within. Wang Lin retreated a second step. The moment his foot landed, the house became distorted and countless shadows appeared. It made it impossible to know if the house or the body was moving as they gradually became blurry and were devoured by the shadows. Wang Lin's figure was also blurry. When his figure became clear, he appeared in the first illusion. Qing Shui opened his eyes and looked at Wang Lin, letting out a sigh. The bitterness was still on his face. Wang Lin muttered something only he could hear and took a third step back. When his third step landed, the first illusion of the palace of Qing Shui's country that was stained in blood suddenly collapsed. This collapse shattered the palace, the earth and sky, and even all the bloodstains on the ground, forming a giant vortex. The vortex rotated faster and faster before forming a giant ghostly face. The ghostly face let out a silent roar and rushed to devour Wang Lin and Qing Shui. In a flash, it devoured the two of them and they disappeared into the void. Everything disappeared into the flow of time, and the illusion collapsed. Cave world. Celestial realm. At the mountain peak, Wang Lin and Qing Shui both opened their eyes at the same time. What happened was like a dream that was so real, it was difficult to tell what was real and what was fake. Wang Lin's face was pale as he looked up at the sky with struggle in his eyes. The third soul is him. The wind in the celestial realm carried dense celestial energy. If blown on your face when your mood was good, it would make you feel very comfortable. However, if your mood was complicated, then no matter how much celestial energy was in the wind, it wouldn't make you feel comfortable. Qing Shui stood up and looked back at Wang Lin. After pondering for a moment, he didn't speak but let out a sigh and left. He naturally knew who the third soul was and its relationship with Wang Lin. He understood Wang Lin's struggle. Even after Qing Shui left, Wang Lin still sat there, staring at the sky. The struggle in his eyes didn't disappear. If the third soul was irrelevant to Wang Lin, then he would not hesitate to do whatever it took to seal it or destroy it to prevent the 7 fragments from being absorbed after the 3 souls fuse. However, the third soul was Xianxia, his disciple. If he was forced to kill his own disciple, his heart would ache. After a long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and withdrew his gaze from the sky as night fell. He still couldn't decide what he should do, but he vaguely had an answer in his heart. However, aside from the identity of the third soul, there were still 2 questions plaguing Wang Lin. This made the originally clear truth blurry once more. The All-Seer was part of the heavenly Tao. During the battle with the All-Seer, I entered his reincarnation and saw that during the beginning, he devoured the 7th fragment. However, when I saw the 7-colored celestial sovereign collapse into the 3 souls and 7 fragments, I saw the 7th fragment. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began to ponder. I saw the 7th fragment disappear into reincarnation. Perhaps it did enter reincarnation, and after reincarnating a certain amount of times, it was devoured by the All-Seer. The 7th soul was purple and represented anger and madness. He was devoured by the All-Seer. They should have integrated into one. However, when the Nether Beast devoured the All-Seer, I didn't sense the 7th fragment at all. Wang Lin opened his eyes and there was a glint of coldness. If my feeling is wrong, it doesn't matter. But if I'm right and there is no 7th soul inside the heavenly Tao, then where it is? Who is it? Wang Lin frowned. Earlier, the heavenly Tao couldn't devour the 4 generals and old ghost John, so I had my doubts that the heavenly Tao was incomplete. If my guess is correct, then the heavenly Tao really is incomplete. One part is still missing. Perhaps the missing part is the 7th fragment. Is there another All-Seer avatar that's not dead? Wang Lin's pupils suddenly shrank. I almost forgot about the gray-robed All-Seer. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Perhaps it's not him. On the mountain, Wang Lin pondered for a long time. The first question troubled him, and there was no answer. However, compared to the first question, the second question troubled Wang Lin even more and confused his thoughts. I know 6 of the 7 fragments. Qing Shui Situ Gri Qing Lin Mu Bingmei. Taoist Scattered Spirit. I was not surprised about Qing Shui and Situ being fragments of the 7-colored celestial sovereign, because I didn't find their fate souls inside the divine retribution. However, I found their fate souls inside the divine retribution. This was my method of finding who were the 7 fragments, but now it seems to be contradicting. Wang Lin rubbed his temples. He didn't understand. To have one's fate soul inside the divine retribution means they are people of the cave world. How can these people be the fragments of the 7-colored celestial sovereign? There is a problem here. Wang Lin looked up at the night of the celestial realm and pondered. He pointed to between his eyebrows, at the nether beast that was inside him. I can't figure it out, but I vaguely feel that this matter is very important. It might even be the solution to resolve the fusion of the 3 souls. If what I saw inside the illusion is not all true, then there is no explanation. If what I saw is true and Qing Lin and them are really the 7 fragments, then finding their fate souls inside the divine retribution can't be explained. Wang Lin's eyes slowly became bloodshot. He seemed to have entered a dead end he couldn't understand or get out of. Not far behind Wang Lin, Grand Emperor Xian Luo opened his eyes. He had been observing Wang Lin. Whether it was the dream of planet Suzaku or the search for the third soul, he had observed it all. He has entered a loop and can't figure it out in a short period. In truth, this matter is very simple. Xian Luo raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. With this, Wang Lin's body trembled. He didn't notice Xian Luo's existence, but at this moment, it was as if thunder had flashed across his mind. It gave him a strange thought. Mutation. This is mutation. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes became bright. At this moment, his mind was extremely clear, and it was as if nothing in the world could escape his thoughts. Whether it is Qing Lin, Greed, Mu Bingmei, or Taoist Scattered Spirit, at the start they were like Qing Shui and Situ, there was no fate soul. However, As they entered the reincarnation cycle again and again, a strange change occurred. They became real individuals and completely separated from the seven-colored celestial sovereign. They might have the same origin, but after these mysterious changes, they become a true resident of the cave world. They reincarnated again and again, changed again and again, integrated with the world again and again. Now they were completely separated from the seven-colored celestial sovereign. This is the power of creation. This is the power closest to the core of the heavenly Tao. This is mutation. The mutations that occurred on these four caused my thoughts to remain blurry. Wang Lin muttered. The thought came to him suddenly and erased his confusion. As for Qing Shui and Situ, they Haven and Appos, T completely changed into independent individuals due to the mutation. Perhaps if tens of thousands of years passed, and they went through the reincarnation cycle more times, they would one day be truly separated from the seven-colored celestial sovereign due to the mysterious power of the heavenly Tao. Wang Lin took a deep breath. The clarity in his mind made everything surge toward him. If the power inside the heavenly Tao can change the seven fragments, then it can change the three souls as well. If I can control this force, I can make the third soul independent. Once it becomes independent, the three souls won't be able to use. If the three souls can't fuse, then everything is solved. However, what kind of force is this? Even though Wang Lin's mind was clear, he couldn't imagine what the core power of the heavenly Tao was. His heavenly Tao was incomplete, or better to say, he couldn't understand the heavenly Tao he controlled. Because of this heavenly Tao, life could appear and all the laws and rules of the world would form. The clarity in his mind gradually dissipated as came appeared on the horizon. In the distance, Xian Luo let out a sigh. Heavenly Tao. Forget him, even I couldn't understand a lot of its mysteries. Only during that lucky moment when I became a Grand Empyrean did I understand a bit more. But to see through it completely would require my cultivation to take a step further. Xian Luo's eyes revealed a mysterious light. Even the 9 suns are searching for the path forward, but no one can find it. We can only use the time we are forced to reincarnate to ponder. The heavenly Tao first came from the immemorial God realm. I don't even know when the mysterious immemorial God realm first appeared or when people will fully understand it. Ah! Xian Luo raised his right hand and looked at this index finger. There was a black circle that slowly rotated and emitted the aura of the heavenly Tao. In the early morning, the light washed away the night. When the ray of light shined over the earth, Wang Lin stopped thinking and took a deep breath. He stood up and looked up with a complicated gaze. With one step, he disappeared into the distance. At this moment, his figure seemed to be competing with the rising sun as he broke through the sky and rushed out of the silver river. He rushed toward all heaven. Ripples echoed as Wang Lin merged with the void and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in all heaven. One step to cross the star system. After he appeared, he didn't spread out his divine sense but closed his eyes. Xianxia was his disciple, and they were connected by karma. With this connection, he could feel Xianxia's existence without his divine sense. After a long time, Wang Lin opened his eyes and turned to the east, his gaze becoming even more complicated. He sensed that Xianxia was on a planet deep to the east, as if Xianxia was waiting for him. Are you really waiting for me? Wang Lin let out a sigh and walked toward the east. His body slowly fused into the void and disappeared. At this moment in all heaven, the 4 generals were flying forward. The giant fog beast shook its head and continued to search. Its eyes shined brightly as if it had already found a trace. Old Ghost John followed the 4 generals, and his eyes shined brightly. He understood what the gaze the fog beast had meant. Also in all heaven, the 7-colored Taoist entered from its border with Summoned River. He found nothing in Summoned River, so he began to carefully search all heaven. That in the eastern part of the vast all heaven star system, there was a planet. Although this planet had spiritual energy, it wasn't dense. It was an ordinary cultivation planet. After the 2 wars, not many cultivators were left on this planet. Only foundation establishment and core formation cultivators remained. Most sects were abandoned. It was autumn. The autumn wind blew by, causing the dead yellow leaves to fly through the sky. There was a valley between the mountains. The valley was filled with autumn orchids. This kind of orchid only bloomed in autumn. The fragrance of the flowers wasn't strong, and under the autumn wind, There was a sense of desolation. Every autumn, the orchid in the valley was very beautiful, but they only bloomed for less than a season until winter came. All the orchids would wither until the snow covered them. They would disappear into the cold winter until the autumn wind of the next year awakened them once more. Right now it was not far away from late autumn. The orchids in the valley were blooming, revealing the last of their beauty for the year. Deep inside the orchid there was a house. This house was very dilapidated and had obviously been empty for a long time. Perhaps thousands of years ago, someone had lived here and died with the orchids. Right now there was an old man sitting outside the house. He wore blue and his face was filled with wrinkles. He silently looked at the orchids before him, and his eyes were melancholy. Autumn wind blew through the valley, causing the orchids to sway. The winds landed on the old man's body, causing his clothes to flutter and a few strands of his hair to drift. A few yellow leaves silently floated toward the valley before the old man. At that instant, the leaves blocked the view of the orchids. The old man let out a sigh and raised his head. He suddenly began to cough violently for a long time before he calmed down. He looked at the autumn leaves with a strange gaze, his eyes filled with reluctance. Autumn has arrived. These orchids don't have much time left. Soon they will wither and die. Only by this time next year they will bloom once more. But I will not be here to watch them bloom. The old man shook his head and raised his hand. He looked at his hand and saw a strange orchid-like mark that gave off bursts of light. Over the years, these 3 seals have been completed. This is the last thing I'll do for my teacher, the old man murmured. This day next year. Where will I be? I don't want to reincarnate anymore, I just want to close my eyes. Teacher, are you coming? The old man raised his head. The old man didn't look back. He sat there as he bitterly said, I know you're here. The autumn wind took those autumn leaves into the sky and far away from the valley. However, the figure that came with the wind stood behind the old man and looked ahead. It was unknown if the figure was looking at the old man or the orchids that were about to wither. Perhaps it was all the same. Wang Lin stood there in a white. The old man lowered his head and slowly turned around. He looked at Wang Lin with a complicated gaze followed by bitterness and then calmness. However, there was respect hidden deep in his eyes. After a long time, he slowly knelt down and whispered, Disciple Xianxia greets teacher. Wang Lin looked at Xianxia, and his heart ached as if all the blood had been drained from it. He saw Xianxia's current physical state. Xianxia knelt there and softly said, The 7-colored celestial sovereign's 3rd soul is me. But I'm Xianxia, not him. Why is it you? Wang Lin's face was pale. He didn't have much contact with Xianxia, but like 13 they were both his disciples. Teacher. Xianxia looked at Wang Lin, and his eyes slowly became moist. After a part of disciples' memories were awakened, I chose to escape. I struggled, I was unwilling. I came here to look at the orchids and think about my life. I finally understood that I'm Xianxia. I'm not the 7-colored celestial sovereign Su Dao. Xianxia smiled. The 3rd soul of the 7-colored celestial sovereign contains memories of his life and is very useful to teacher. I know that right now the 1st soul, the 2nd soul, and the 4 generals are all looking for me. Although the 4 generals were servants of the 7-colored celestial sovereign, over the years, their thoughts have changed. They are looking for the 3rd soul for their own purpose. No matter which of them find me, I can't escape the fate of being devoured. Teacher, this is the fate of the 7-colored celestial sovereign. This is my fate, I can't escape. Even entering the reincarnation cycle won't work. The 3rd soul has escaped for so many years, but now it is the end. The 3rd soul only has memories, no divine sense, no origin soul, no spells. Although the soul is strong, it has no ability to protect itself. Rather than being devoured by others, I'd rather give it to teacher. Xianxia muttered bitterly. Wang Lin silently pondered, and his heart felt stinging pain. Although he was standing there, it felt like he had entered an area that was very cold. The coldness penetrated his bones and caused pain throughout his body. Earlier he had told Xianxia that he would kill the 3rd soul to keep Xianxia safe, but now how could he do it? This was not keeping his promise but killing one's own child. His memory of Xianxia appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Although they had been buried in his mind, they were so clear right now. How could he forget? Wang Lin cared about relationships. Teacher, Disciple has made preparations. If I don't die once I'm found, the other 2 souls will fuse and then the 7 fragments will automatically return. Although I feel that 5 of the 7 have been completely separated, the remaining 2 will return. I can also feel that those 2 are very important to teacher. If I don't die, the 3rd soul won't appear. If I don't die, they will die. If I don't die, the 7-colored celestial sovereign's 3 souls will return back to 1 and teacher will die. Xianxia looked at Wang Lin, his eyes bright. Over the years after the 3rd soul awakened, I used my soul cultivation and formed 3 seals. The first seal requires no external force. Once I die, the 3rd soul won't enter reincarnation and can be taken by teacher. At that time, the 3rd soul will completely awaken after my death. It will open up the core of the cave world, go there and open the door. Teacher will be able to leave the cave world. The remaining 2 seals are something I prepared for teacher. Borrowing the force that will rush in once the door opens. Teacher can borrow that power and combine it with these 2 seals to seal the 1st and 2nd souls. Then everything will calm down. As Xianxia spoke, he began to cough. As he coughed out a mouthful of blood that sprinkled on the orchids before him. It dyed the flowers red, creating a shocking sight. This was because his soul had been exhausted. For these 3 seals he had given it his all. Wang Lin looked at Xianxia and couldn't say a word. He listened to Xianxia, and when he saw Xianxia cough out blood, his heart ached even more. At this moment he suddenly looked up at the sky. His expression was fierce as he let out a roar. I, Wang Lin, took my own fate back from the heavenly fate and became the master of the heavenly Tao. But why can I still not decide my own fate? Why am I forced to encounter such a decision? Heaven, whether it is the heaven of the cave world or the heaven of the immortal astral continent, do you see this? If the heavens are so unkind, then I, Wang Lin, vow to destroy the heavens in my lifetime. The veins on Wang Lin's face swelled and he looked crazy as he let out a roar. His body erupted with a powerful aura. This aura was like smoke and quickly gathered to form an illusionary sword. This sword gave off a shocking aura that could destroy the heavens. At this moment, Grand Emperor Xian Luo's expression changed greatly for the first time since he entered the cave world. He stared at the illusory sword around Wang Lin that only he could see and was shocked. Void extinction aura. This is the void extinction aura. This kid's words could create the void extinction aura. As Xianxia looked at Wang Lin, tears began to flow. He knelt down and kowtowed once. My soul has been seriously injured while waited for teacher to come. I also hesitated, but now I have no regrets. There's no need for teacher to act. I'm at death's doorstep. This is the last time I'll call. Teacher. Xianxia looked at the orchids before him and closed his eyes. The tears that were about to fall were stopped as he revealed a smile and took in his last breath. He was dead. The moment he died, slivers of souls came out of his body. This was the 3rd soul. This contained the memories of the 3rd soul's countless reincarnations, including Xianxia's life. Due to Xianxia's seal, the 3rd soul could not enter reincarnation. The memories rapidly dissipated, and once they completely dissipated, Xianxia would be gone forever. This is not the last time. Wang Lin, filled with anger, suddenly lowered his head. This was anger at the world. He stepped forward and arrived next to Xianxia. He waved his hand and caught the 3rd soul. The moment he grabbed the 3rd soul, it completely awakened. The planet rumbled violently and the sky churned. The 4 great star systems trembled. Even the outer realm faced a shocking change at this moment. A thunderous rumble filled the entire ancient star system as fog flooded everything. This fog churned as if there were countless fierce beasts inside. Every inch of the outer realm was shrouded in fog. A powerful pressure came from the distant inner realm and shrouded the entire cave world. Under this pressure, all the ancient star system cultivators trembled violently. They were at a loss as to what had happened. However, the roar from the sky was like the end of the world, creating a powerful pressure on people and giving them a suffocating feeling. The countless fierce beasts were like this as well. No matter how strong they were, they all trembled. Although their inheritances had dissipated, the memories buried deep within their souls slowly emerged. These memories were fear toward the heavens that had been left by their ancestors. This originally would never happen, but now they had no choice. As the entire ancient star system changed drastically, the fog became more and more dense. Soon it blocked everything and occupied the entire star system. This fog had appeared too quickly, giving you no time to react. Just at this moment, somewhere in the ancient star system, the star system trembled and a large amount of rocks appeared out of thin air. They looked like stone and quickly condensed into a slate. This slate's shape was irregular, as if it was part of something that had collapsed. It appeared from the void and was formed by dust. This large slate gave off an ancient aura. After the slate formed, it flew toward the inner realm. At this moment, in the outer realm, the sovereign suddenly opened his eyes. His expression was filled with fear. He quickly got up and took a step forward. He appeared in the star system filled with fog. He looked into the distance, and the fear was slowly replaced with shock. The third soul has awakened. The core of the cave world has reopened. The sovereign's face was pale, but he didn't hesitate to charge toward the inner realm. At the same time, in the various areas of the outer realm, the surviving concubines, including the one that Wang Lin had met in the ancient tomb, all awakened from their cultivation. They all looked into the stars with different expressions. There was excitement, complication, and fear. The core of the cave has opened. A moment later, the concubines flew out from various places in the outer realm toward the inner realm. At the same time, in the inner realm, in the brilliant void, the area around planet Suzaka trembled. The fog churned and the void outside the planet was silently torn open. The aura of the foreign battleground leaked out of the rift and fragments quickly flew out. They gathered to form another stone slate. This slate was like a small continent, and it flew toward all heaven after it appeared. This wasn't the only place. This same slate formed in the other 3 star systems as well. There was an unknown amount of slates rushing toward all heaven from all over the cave world. As the slates flew forward, the expression of the 7-colored Taoist, who was searching in all heaven, changed greatly. His body trembled as he stared straight ahead, and a monstrous rage surged in his heart. The third soul has been found. The core of the cave has been opened. Who found the third soul first? The 7-colored Taoist seemed to have gone crazy as he charged forward. There was also the 4 generals, they were also in all heaven. The giant fog beast before them let out a sob and trembled, not daring to move forward. The rumble echoed across the star system and the fog suddenly appeared. The aura of the core opening filled every part of the cave world. The 4 generals' expressions changed greatly. They could hardly believe it. They thought they were the fastest, but they were shocked to find that someone had found the third soul before them. The cave has opened. Who found the third soul? Could it be the 7-colored Taoist? The 4 of them didn't hesitate to charge toward where the aura was coming from. There was another figure that was faster than the 4 of them. As they moved forward, this figure flashed by the 4 of them. The figure was Old Ghost John. Right now, his expression was gloomy and contained a hidden sense of fear. If he didn't find the third soul first and it was instead found by the 7-colored Taoist, what awaited him was a painful devouring and death. Unfortunately, the cave world was in chaos, so even when he spread out his divine sense, he couldn't see far. It could be Wang Lin or the 7-colored Taoist. He didn't know exactly who. However, it was because of this unknown that his fear had become even stronger. Under this fear, he rushed forward like crazy. At this moment, he could not choose to escape. Even if the 7-colored Taoist had found the third soul, he was going to fight back while the 7-colored Taoist was devouring the third soul. As Old Ghost John moved forward, a giant shadow appeared him. This huge shadow had a cloak made of fog that covered their face, revealing only the gloomy eyes. Its hair fluttered and its body was huge, covering most of the sky. This figure surrounded Old Ghost John. This was one of the 3 souls, the one that held all the Tao comprehension. It was also at this moment that the cave world went into an upheaval that had never been seen before. All life in the cave world began to panic. At the same time, this force tore open the ancient celestial realm in the outer realm that Wang Lin had sealed. Although most of it had collapsed, there were still some surviving 7 Tao sect disciples within. When the seal was torn open, they charged out. While shocked, they charged toward all heaven without hesitation. There was also the woman that hadn't gone to the celestial realm, and instead stayed on a planet in the summoned river. This woman was called Xianxia, and she was one of the concubines. She silently pondered for a moment before she clenched her teeth and stepped forward. As the entire cave world changed, the large slates began to charge toward all heaven. In the brilliant void on the hidden planet 5 Elements, the group of cultivators led by the old man named Ma hesitated for a bit. Then they let out a sigh and rushed toward all heaven. Yunifeng followed the old man named Ma and looked toward all heaven. His eyes shined with a strange light. Wang Lin, our last battle had no conclusion. Perhaps we can determine a victor in the core of the cave. The cave world rumbled violently and the fog moved like the sea. If one looked from above, they would see that the entire cave world had turned into a fog sea, with only all heaven, which was where Wang Lin was, being clear. It had become a shining light in the darkness. At this moment, in the celestial realm, Xianxia stood outside his house and looked at the cloudy sky. He felt a call in his head, and this call made him feel extremely irritated. Also in the celestial realm, Situ Nan awakened from his cultivation. He gloomily looked ahead, but it was unknown what he was thinking about. Just at this moment, a mighty voice echoed in the mind of Situ Nan and Xianxia. This voice belonged to Tao Master Blue Dream. I promised Wang Lin to help him. That strange place has opened, but I don't have the bloodline of a celestial, so I can't enter. I need to borrow your souls. Do you two agree? The fog rushed in from all directions of the cave world and gathered in the sky. At this moment, Wang Lin was standing in the valley on the planet in all heaven. His eyes were filled with sorrow and anger as he watched his disciple Xiaqing call him teacher, one last time, and die with a smile. He was angry because the heavens were messing with him. If the heavens don't respect me, then I'll destroy the heavens. Wang Lin looked at the dark sky with the third soul in his hand. The moment the third soul appeared, Wang Lin formed a connection with it. He knew that the core of the cave had been opened. He also knew that everyone was rushing here. Their goal was the third soul in his hand. However, at this moment, the third soul was different to Wang Lin. This soul was no longer the seven-colored celestial sovereign. It was his disciple Xiaqing. That was definitely not the last time you will call me teacher. I'll not allow it. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes as he looked up at the sky. He suddenly began to laugh, and this laughter was filled with anger. With teacher here, there will be a day when you can reform your soul and awaken your memories. When you awaken, you will still be my disciple. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and when he reopened them, the third soul fused into his body. Just at this instant, the dark sky rumbled violently. The fog in the sky surged like crazy and became dense. Wang Lin saw a giant stone slate the size of a continent appear in the sky. At the same time, the second stone slate came from another direction in the sea of fog. The third slate, the fourth slate, the fifth slate. The fog in all heaven around the planet Wang Lin was unchurned as several stone slates gathered in a flash. They didn't fuse together but connected to form an outline. This outline was still incomplete, so its shape was unknown. However, the aura and pressure it gave off caused Wang Lin's heart to rumble when he saw it. He understood what it was. Although he was shocked, his expression remained unchanged. He just stood there and calmly looked at it. Soon, several more slates appeared from the fog and were added to the outline. As more slates arrived, the outline slowly became complete. What appeared before Wang Lin was a giant door. This door wasn't the door that led to the immortal astral continent, but the door to the core of the cave. Once this door was opened, one could enter the core of the cave. Although it was Wang Lin's first time seeing the door, he was not a stranger to it. On one of the slates that formed the door, Wang Lin felt the aura of the foreign battleground from planet Suzaku. He had spread out his divine sense and saw the shocking scene there. It was a piece of a broken door. Today, the cave door that was broken by the heavenly Tao appeared once more, causing the cave world to change dramatically. The door was endless in size. From a distance, it looked very majestic. Although it was mostly complete, there were still many cracks on its surface. However, soon, a large amount of gravel flew out from the fog. This gravel that had disappeared into the void, when the door shattered, made up the missing bits. When the door reformed, these missing pieces quickly arrived, filling the cracks on the door. When the door was completed, an aura that shook the entire star system erupted. This aura formed a storm that was set off with the door at the center. The storm carried a powerful force as it suddenly spread out. The fog in the distance became distorted, and the fog in the area suddenly became thinner. 7-colored light flashed in the fog and the 7-colored Taoist walked out. His expression was gloomy, and when he arrived, he immediately saw the door along with Wang Lin. "So it's you." Killing intent appeared in the 7-colored Taoist's eyes, and he felt relief. Compared to the third soul being found by Old Ghost John, he preferred it to be Wang Lin. As long as it's not Old Ghost John, there is a chance to turn it around. The 7-colored Taoist waved his sleeve and he walked toward the planet outside the door. However, just as he raised his feet, the storm erupted from the door. The storm was extremely powerful, causing the figure of the 7-colored Taoist to distort. His expression changed and he was pushed back. At the same time, Old Ghost John appeared in another direction. Thunderous rumbles rang out after he appeared, and the fog around him scattered. Old Ghost John stood there with his hair fluttering, and the gaze from the shadow around him revealed a strange light as it stared at the planet outside the door. As one of the three souls, he also relaxed just like the 7-colored Taoist and revealed monstrous killing intent at the same time. It's him. Even though he has the heavenly Tao, he is seeking death since he obtained the third soul. Old Ghost John clenched his fist inside the shadow but didn't charge forward. Instead, he waved his sleeve and resisted the push from the storm. A thunderous rumble echoed as he was pushed back with the shadow around him, but the strange light in his eyes became brighter and brighter. Wang Lin was not shocked by their appearance. The awakening of the third soul and opening of the core of the cave would naturally be detected by others. Wang Lin didn't look at the two of them. Instead, he looked down at Xianxia's body, which was kneeling before him. The sorrow in his eyes became even stronger. "Since you like this valley of autumn orchids, sleep here accompanied by the autumn orchids until the day I awaken you," Wang Lin muttered as he raised his right hand. The valley rumbled and the autumn orchids moved slowly, covering Xianxia's body, leaving a grave that was covered in autumn orchids. With a sigh, Wang Lin plucked an orchid and looked at it. With one step, he left the valley and arrived in the sky. He took another step and disappeared from the sky, charging into space. The orchid slowly fell from the sky, but it didn't change directions. It slowly landed on the grave in the valley. The orchid was very beautiful, as if it was filled with life force. After it landed, it gave off a burst of ghostly light and then crumbled to ashes. At this moment, the wind blew by and the ashes were scattered across the valley. From now on, this nameless planet would be covered in autumn orchids every autumn. The fragrance of the autumn orchids filled the planet and accompanied the sleeping Xianxia. The storm raged around the door and prevented everyone beside Wang Lin from getting close. Inside, he faced no danger at all. This storm was created when the door was reformed, This door reformed when the third soul awakened, and the third soul was inside Wang Lin. Therefore, this storm had no effect on Wang Lin. Before him was the gate, and behind him was the planet. Aside from the door, he also looked at the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John. Old Ghost John was braving the storm. When he saw Wang Lin, he clearly felt the existence of the third soul inside him. He immediately roared, "Wang Lin, give me the third soul and this old man will ensure the safety of you and the entire celestial realm. This old man will also open the door for you to head to the immortal astral continent." The seven-colored Taoist's eyes lit up and he spoke with a gloomy tone. "Wang Lin, if you give the third soul to this lord, I'll resurrect your wife. I don't want the heavenly Tao, and I'll give this cave world to you. As long as I have the third soul, I'll leave and never return to this place. How about it?" His words were even more alluring than Old Ghost John's. If not for his relationships with Xie Qing Shui, and Situ, Wang Lin would be tempted. However, at this moment, Wang Lin acted like he didn't hear anything. He stood outside the gate and closed his eyes as if he was waiting for something. Wang Lin's behavior caused Old Ghost John and seven-colored Taoist to overflow with killing intent. However, they couldn't move forward due to the storm. But they knew the storm would eventually dissipate. It didn't take long for a rumble to resound from the other side of the door, and the four generals arrived. They were pushed back by the storm and took a moment to stabilize themselves. When they looked over, their expressions changed. They immediately saw that the third soul had been taken by Wang Lin. They also saw that Wang Lin was surrounded by the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John. There was no escape. Their appearance didn't surprise Wang Lin at all. His eyes were still closed as he calmly stood there. A moment later, a howling sound echoed and the sovereign appeared outside the door. His body was pushed back and he arrived next to the seven-colored Taoist. He stared at Wang Lin's figure with suspicion in his eyes. Shortly after the sovereign arrived, several rays of light broke through the fog and arrived. Inside the rays of light were beautiful women. They were the celestial imperial concubines. One of them looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. She was the third concubine, the one who had interacted with Wang Lin in the ancient tomb. The seven Dao sect disciples that had escaped from the ancient celestial realm in the outer realm arrived with the concubines. They surrounded the area and stared at Wang Lin. It didn't take long before Xianxia arrived from the summoned river. After looking around, her gaze fell on Wang Lin, who was surrounded, and there was a flash of killing intent in her gaze. She hated Wang Lin from the moment he refused to join forces with her. Killing intent had already appeared in her heart back then. If not for the fact that she knew she was no match against Wang Lin, she would have attacked long ago. When she saw that Wang Lin was surrounded, she sneered. A moment later, there was a flash of blue light and Dao Master Blue Dream appeared. There was something different about him. The seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John immediately looked over. Dao Master Blue Dream's expression was calm as he stood there. He completely ignored the gazes of the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John. The last to appear were the people from Planet 5 Elements, led by the old man named Ma. Their appearance shocked everyone. The moment they appeared, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His gaze was calm, and the moment he opened his eyes, everyone's attention moved away from the people from Planet 5 Elements and gathered back on him. Everyone here had a high cultivation level, and an ordinary person would be startled by this gathering. However, Wang Lin's expression remained neutral, and his gaze swept by everyone here. Those that should come have all come. What you all want is merely this soul. Wang Lin raised his right hand and the third soul appeared. The moment the third soul appeared, everyone's gazes, beside Dao Master Blue Dream and the third concubines, gathered at Wang Lin's right hand. In particular, the eyes of the seven-colored Taoist, Old Ghost John, and the four generals were filled with obvious or hidden greed and desire. This is a hunt. You may be the hunter or I'm the hunter. You could kill me and get the third soul, but anyone who enters must be prepared to be killed by me. You all have the blood of the immortal astral continent and consider yourselves immortals. But in this hunt, either you die or I live. I haven't killed many of the celestials of the immortal celestial continent. I hope you all can become one of them. Now let this cruel game begin. Wang Lin's calm voice was chilly as he looked around and revealed a cold smile. His right hand clenched before everyone and the third soul disappeared back into his body. Wang Lin waved his sleeve at the door. Door to the cave open. Whoever had the third soul could open the door to the core of the cave. Among the people here, only Wang Lin could do it. He was not worried about the killing intent from the people here. He didn't intend to leave. He was at the center of the core of the cave, about to begin his final slaughter in the cave world. Wang Lin would do everything it took in this slaughter. After he waved his sleeve, a rumble came from inside the door. A top-to-bottom crack appeared at the center of the door, splitting it in half. Even more rumbles echoed across the entire cave world. The door began to slowly move as if a pair of invisible hands was pushing it open. As the door slowly opened, the storm became even stronger and endless cries of sorrow came out. The cries could startle anyone who heard them. This was the first time this door had opened since it collapsed. The thunderous rumbles caused everyone's ears to buzz and retreat. Even the seven-colored Taoist and old ghost Xian were forced to retreat when the door opened. Only Wang Lin stood outside the door motionless. At this moment, the door had opened thousands of feet. However, it had only opened 30%. Wang Lin walked forward with a cold smile and stepped between the two large doors as everyone watched him. The moment he entered, his gaze swept at everyone around him and finally paused on the seven-colored Taoist and old ghost Xian. "I'll wait for you all inside." Wang Lin's words echoed. He stepped into the half-open door and disappeared. The moment Wang Lin disappeared, the storm became even more intense and roared. The storm seemed to reach its peak, forcing everyone to retreat once more. Courting death. The seven-colored Taoist's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had already made up his mind to kill Wang Lin. There was also old ghost Xian. The shadow around him stared at the door Wang Lin had disappeared into, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. The two of them didn't take Wang Lin's words to heart, but the rest felt a chill in their hearts. In particular, the four generals and the concubines silently pondered as they were forced to retreat. Time slowly passed. Half an hour after Wang Lin entered, the door opened completely. The moment it completely opened, the storm spread out like crazy, pushing everyone back tens of thousands of feet. However, just at this moment the storm suddenly disappeared. It was as if it had never appeared. The force blocking everyone no longer existed, and the door was revealed clearly before them. The seven-colored Taoist was the first to rush out. There was a flash of seven-colored light, and then he appeared next to the gate and stepped inside. Shortly after was old ghost Xian. He would never allow the third soul to be obtained by the seven-colored Taoist. At this moment they both entered the door one after the other. The third person to enter was the sovereign. He turned into a shadow and closed in on the door. He hesitated for a moment outside the door and clenched his teeth as he walked in. After those three it was Tao Master Blue Dream. From the beginning he had been calm. At this moment he slowly arrived before the door, let out a sigh and walked inside. After a brief moment of silence, the rest of the people outside the door all made up their minds and entered. Each of them entered with a different purpose. However, most of them didn't think Wang Lin could keep the third soul. It was likely that a new seven-colored would appear between the seven-colored Taoist and old ghost Xian. They had come from this door, and now, after countless years, they were entering it again. It was like a reincarnation cycle or point of origin. As the various cultivators entered one by one, the last to enter were the people from Planet 5 Elements led by the old man named Ma. They had to go, and they entered with a sigh. Only after everyone disappeared into the door did Xian Luo appear from the void. He looked at the door and pondered a bit before he casually followed in. This child's trial should end here. The cave world was still covered in fog, but the rumbles that had been echoing across the entire cave world gradually calmed down until they disappeared. In all heaven, the door to the core of the cave world remained open, as if it were waiting for everyone who was qualified to enter. However, the door to the core of the cave could only be entered by people with the bloodline from the immortal astral continent. If the rest of them wanted to enter, they could only borrow a soul like Tao Master Blue Dream. All the cultivators that noticed this change silently waited for the first person to come out of the door. Both the inner and outer realms were the same. A few that knew the secret about this place, like Qing Shui and Situ, silently observed from the celestial realm. They understood that the first person to come out would likely be the new seven-colored celestial. If it was Wang Lin, then that meant everything had ended perfectly. This was a matter that would determine the fate of the entire cave world. It was a matter of life and death. Either the cave world would belong to the new seven-colored celestial sovereign, or a change would occur. However, no matter what, the mortals of the cave world continued with their daily lives, not knowing what was happening. Inside the door, the world before Wang Lin was fuzzy. It was in complete ruin due to the war that had taken place here. He looked over and saw a giant furnace floating among the ruins. There were strands of black gas surrounding furnace, and it seemed to connect with the world. Wang Lin had the third soul inside him. It was sealed by Xiaqing, so it couldn't enter reincarnation. Thanks to the third soul, Wang Lin had a better understanding of the core of the cave than everyone else. Wang Lin took a deep breath and looked at the furnace with a hint of passion. That place is the core of the cave. It is also where the door to the immortal astral continent is. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he stepped forward. He moved very fast like a ray of light. Below him, among the ruins, he could vaguely see that it used to be a beautiful realm. This place was the real cave. This was where he had gone into closed-door cultivation. Or it could be said that this was the center of the entire cave world. However, everything was in ruins, and a sense of desolation appeared in Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin felt reminiscence from looking at all of this. He knew that this feeling was not coming from him but from the third soul. Wang Lin silently pondered as he flew across the ruins here. All the restrictions here were broken and no longer existed. However, Wang Lin stopped shortly after he started flying. He looked down and his eyes revealed a strange light. Although the restrictions here have already collapsed, some fragments still remain. They can be used to form new restrictions. Wang Lin looked down. His hands formed seals without hesitation and bloodlines appeared in both his eyes. As his hands formed seals, invisible restrictions landed on the ruins below. Large amounts of ghostly light came from the ruins below. After one incense stick of time, the ghostly light shined brightly. The ghostly light shrouded Wang Lin, and even more bloodlines appeared in his eyes. Then he closed his eyes, and when he reopened them, the bloodlines appeared before him. These bloodlines immediately began to expand past Wang Lin, and completely covered the ruins here. From a distance, this was a shocking sight. The bloodlines were almost as thick as an arm and were a shocking sight to behold. Wang Lin's breathing became a bit rough, and a moment later he waved his hand. The bloodlines silently disappeared without a trace. The restriction formation was complete. The ghostly light from the ground slowly dissipated and returned to normal. Wang Lin looked back at the entrance and sneered. He turned around and closed in on the furnace surrounded by black gas. He then disappeared into the furnace. The moment Wang Lin disappeared, the black gas around the furnace began to swirl rapidly and roar. Black ripples spread out from the furnace, and the world here became distorted, as if countless shadows had appeared. A face gradually appeared on the front of the giant furnace. This face was very large and took up almost half of the front of the furnace. Although the face was blurry from a distance, one could see that it was Wang Lin's face. The furnace was the core of the cave. It was very mysterious. Anyone who entered would have their face appear on the furnace as if it was a soul seal. The moment he entered the furnace, what appeared before Wang Lin was a dark world. It seemed endless but also like he could cross it with one step. There was only one thing in the world. A large yellow flower. The earth was its roots and the sky was its leaves. The blooming flower was a world of its own. This flower was very simple and only had 5 petals. It had no fragrance, but if you looked at the flower, you would have the illusion that it didn't exist. There were some fine drops of dew on the huge flower, exactly 300 of them. The 300 drops of dew shined brightly, making this scene look like a dream. Wang Lin stood there, and the flower was before him. Wang Lin calmly looked at the flower before him. He had the third soul, and although he hadn't completely fused with it, he had access to some memories, including information about the core of the cave. This must be the 300 destroyed worlds, Wang Lin muttered. In the memory of the third soul, this was the core of the cave, and where the 7-colored celestial sovereign would go for his closed-door cultivation. Once broken into, this place's protective measures would active to prevent people from entering. However, due to the death of the seven-colored celestial sovereign, the invasion of Lian Daofei, and the betrayal of some of the seven Dao sect disciples along with the concubines, a lot of the protective measures had been destroyed and some had changed. Wang Lin was worried about the changes from the memories of the third soul. When he saw the yellow flower and the 300 drops of dew, he relaxed. It looks like the first flower is the same as the memory from the third soul. Nothing changed here. The 300 destroyed worlds, Wang Lin had learned about them from the memories of the third soul. When the seven-colored celestial sovereign first attempted to create the cave world, he failed 300 times. Although these 300 attempts had failed, worlds had still been created. Although they were incomplete and lacked a lot of required elements, they still existed. They were not used by the seven-colored celestial sovereign. In the end, he created the 301st world, which was today's cave world. The seven-colored celestial sovereign was unwilling to discard these 300 failures, so he had refined them to protect this place, turning them into 300 drops of dew. If the seven-colored celestial sovereign was still alive, his divine sense could spread into the 300 destroyed worlds and change some laws of these worlds. Every drop of dew was its own world. Since the 300 destroyed worlds still remain, then I'll need to change my plans slightly. This can be the first hunting ground. I currently can't hunt the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John, but as for the rest, with the help of the 300 destroyed worlds, I'm confident in killing some of them. The more I kill, the greater my power in dealing with remaining two souls will be. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. There was a secret about the cave hidden in the third soul. This secret was something outsiders wouldn't know. Forget the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John, who had no memories. Not even the four generals and the concubines knew of this. This was the ultimate ace the seven-colored celestial sovereign had left in the cave world. If it wasn't for the fact that Lian Daofei had appeared too suddenly and already being seriously injured, the seven-colored celestial sovereign wouldn't have had to summon the heavenly Dao to devour Lian Daofei at all. The result of that war back then would have been completely different. It was because of this secret that Wang Lin was confident to begin hunting here. Also, to use this ace, he had to kill enough here. 300 destroyed worlds, very interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he stepped forward. He closed in on the flower and entered one of the dew drops. Ripples echoed on the drop as if a vortex had appeared. Wang Lin disappeared within and the ripples gradually calmed down. The drop of dew didn't look big, but there was another world inside. The world in the drop expanded endlessly. Although he had some idea going in, once he saw everything, he was still shocked. He was in a star system. This star system was bright and filled with nebulas, but it was completely silent without any trace of light. Wang Lin's divine sense gradually spread across the star system. Its size was equivalent to the brilliant void, and there weren't many planets. There was a total of 9 planets, but there was no life force coming from them. There was nothing on them. Thanks to the memories of the third soul, Wang Lin knew that the 300 destroyed worlds were roughly divided into 3 types. The first type was where the seven-colored celestial sovereign stored celestial beasts he had brought from the immortal astral continent. Over the countless years, they either died or mutated into something very powerful. The second type contained groups of mortals he had captured on the immortal astral continent. He had allowed them to reproduce here and was going to observe them long-term. He was trying to use this method to learn the secret of the heavenly Tao. As for the third type, these worlds had no people, no beasts, and no life at all. Even the laws of these worlds were not set. Once enemies broke in, the seven-colored celestial sovereign could set the law based on the enemy. The third type of destroyed world was divided into 2 categories. The first was where the seven-colored celestial sovereign had never set any laws, and the other was where he had set the laws, and they had been maintained over the countless years. If one wasn't as powerful as Lian Daofei and had the immortal celestial body, it would take them a lot of effort to break through the 300 destroyed worlds. If they were a bit careless, they could die here. In particular, no one knew what kind of changes could have taken place over the countless years in the first type of destroyed worlds, and that was where the danger lay. Wang Lin's understanding of the 300 destroyed worlds wasn't complete, because he hadn't completely merged with the third soul. He only knew about 70% to 80% of the information. At this moment, he looked around and his eyes lit up. This should be the third type of destroyed world. I just don't know if this is the first or second category. Wang Lin stepped forward and charged into the distance at an extremely fast speed. His figure appeared within the 9 planets in the sky. He quickly moved through them as if he was looking for something, but he still didn't find it in the end. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin had entered half an hour early, and with the time he had spent placing the restrictions, not much time remained. Standing on the 9th planet, Wang Lin frowned. The third soul doesn't have any memories of establishing the laws. It seems like the 7-colored celestial sovereign only needed to spread out his divine sense and he could change the laws of the third type of destroyed world. A moment later, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and swept the area again and again. Then his eyes suddenly narrowed. He vaguely felt an invisible ripple across the void. This ripple seemed to be constantly echoing, but it was well hidden and difficult to detect. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and locked onto the ripple. Just as the half-hour head start was about to end, he sensed that the ripple had come from the 5th planet. Wang Lin suddenly disappeared. When he appeared on the 5th planet, he charged toward a mountain peak. The mountain was bald and looked like a sword that pierced the clouds. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The ripple he felt had come from this mountain. Could it be here? Wang Lin's divine sense locked onto this mountain. However, no matter how he checked, this mountain looked very ordinary. I'll know once I try. I'm the first person to come to this world, and I established the law to suppress all celestial bloodlines. Wang Lin sent out a message toward the mountain. When his message was sent, the world rumbled and the planet trembled violently as if it was going to collapse. A hidden law seemed to appear, but just as it was about to appear, there was a loud rumble and everything calmed down. Wang Lin still floated there and frowned. This destroyed world doesn't have the power to form such a law. Then let's change it to something else. Just as Wang Lin was setting the law, the storm around the door disappeared and the door to the core of the cave opened completely. The 7-colored Taoist and old ghost John rushed in. The rest of the people outside slowly entered as well. The 7-colored Taoist was the first to enter, and he looked around before frowning. He charged forward through the ruins toward the furnace. The ruins didn't react to him, and he disappeared into the furnace. Behind him, old ghost John also disappeared into the furnace. On the left and right sides of the furnace, the faces of the 7-colored Taoist and old ghost John appeared. Their faces were shrouded by black gas and looked a little terrifying. The third to enter was the sovereign. Just as he was about to step through the ruins, his expression changed and he stopped. His eyes lit up and his hands formed a seal. He turned invisible to hide himself. Behind him, Tao Master Blue Dream arrived, and his eyes narrowed as he looked at the ruins below. He suddenly smiled and walked forward until he entered the furnace, but the ruins below him didn't change at all. The sovereign, who was hidden on the side, couldn't help but frown. It wasn't long before the 4 generals and the disciples of the 7 Tao sect entered. The celestial imperial concubines entered as well. When they entered, they all had complicated expressions. One of the celestials that came from the immortal astral continent let out a sigh and moved forward. He didn't activate any of the restrictions here as he closed in on the furnace. Behind him, everyone else looked at the ruins below. Some of them narrowed their eyes and stopped. Several people followed the celestial and entered the ruins. However, just as they entered, their expressions changed. Red lines appeared, giving off a bright red light and trapping them inside. Thunderous rumbles rang out as bloodlines appeared above the ruins, forming a blockade. The people inside let out miserable screams and quickly retreated. The sudden development startled the celestial that had passed safely. He turned around and saw the bloodlines blocking his vision. This gave him a lingering sense of fear. He hesitated and then quickly entered the furnace. The eyes of the sovereign who was hidden lit up and he sneered. Forgetting the matter here for a moment, the 7 Tao sect disciple that had gone through the ruins by luck entered the furnace. He was an old man and his cultivation level wasn't very high. He saw the giant flower before him along with the 300 drops of dew. The 3 people that had entered before him had already disappeared. He hesitated and looked at the flower for a long time before he picked a dewdrop and slowly entered. Just as the old man entered the drop, Wang Lin, who was sitting on top of the mountain, suddenly looked up at the sky. The first one has arrived. Unfortunately, his cultivation level is not high. To come here with this low of a cultivation level, it looks like my warning before was ignored. He is courting death. Let's use him to experiment with the law I have established here. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His divine sense spread out and found the vortex that had appeared in the sky. The vortex continued to rotate as a blurry figure slowly appeared. The figure quickly formed, and the moment he appeared completely, the vortex disappeared. The figure was the lucky old man from the Seven Tao sect. Just as he appeared, he was vigilant and spread out his divine sense. However, with his cultivation level, he could not find Wang Lin. He frowned and hesitated for a bit. He took a step and was about to fly away. However, his expression changed when he took this step. His foot landed on nothing and he rapidly fell. This suddenly change caused the old man to become completely startled. A moment later, his face was filled with horror as he had lost the ability to fly. Even if his full cultivation erupted, he couldn't stop his body from falling. At the top of the mountain, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. It is indeed effective. The destroyed worlds are interesting. Unfortunately, after trying a lot of laws, only the one that stops flying worked. It can't affect treasures, and depending on the cultivation level of the target, the time it takes to affect them is different. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a flash of blood light appeared. The blood sword rushed forward and disappeared toward the old man. With the speed of the blood sword and the power of Wang Lin's spell, it had reached the speed of spatial bending. In flash, it appeared below the old man. The old man panicked. As he fell, the effect of falling through the atmosphere appeared and popping sounds came from his body. He suppressed the panic he had never felt before and waved his hand. A whisk appeared. It flew below his feet and lifted him up. The old man's face was deathly pale. Even now, he couldn't understand why he had lost the ability to fly. However, before he could think about it, a flash of blood light appeared. Just as the whisk held him up, the sword pierced him between the eyes. The old man coughed out a mouthful of blood and a large amount of blood sprayed out from between his eyebrows. Then his body trembled and immediately collapsed. Even his origin soul was shattered by the sword, and he died on the spot. The moment he died, Wang Lin formed a seal and pointed at the sky. The third soul flew out and surrounded the seal formed by his hands. I sacrificed that flesh and soul to fuse into this body. As his words echoed, a black arm appeared beside the collapsed old man. The black arm was surrounded by black gas and reached toward the old man. It grabbed the flesh and soul of the old man and disappeared into the void. The blood sword returned next to Wang Lin and buzzed. Wang Lin lowered his hands and put the third soul back into his body. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. I sense that the restriction formation has only killed 3 people. Along with this person, it is far from enough. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and closed his eyes. His divine sense filled the sky, waiting for the next person to enter. If no one comes in within 7 days, I need to move on to a different world. At this moment, everyone had arrived at the first flower and the 300 drops of dew. Wang Lin was waiting for the next person to enter this world. Time slowly passed. In a flash, 5 days went by. During these 5 days, Wang Lin waited and spent his time immersed in the third soul, trying to absorb more memories. At the same time, he was always on guard. If the second person who came was the 7-color Taoist or old ghost John, he would immediately leave. This was why he had set the law for no flying, because with this law here, he would have enough time to leave. Unfortunately, I can't set the law to restrict the celestial bloodline, or I could try to battle them. But I estimate none of the 300 destroyed worlds could do it. After all, they are just destroyed worlds. Wang Lin let out a sigh. After 5 days had passed, it was noon of the 6th day. Wang Lin suddenly looked up and saw a vortex appear in the eastern part of the star system. Here's someone. Who will it be? Wang Lin stood up and stepped forward, disappearing without a trace. Although there was a law that prevented flying, there was a time limit on it. Wang Lin had long passed this time limit, so he wasn't affected. Wang Lin stepped out from the vortex and the blood sword shook before him. It desired for blood, but it was smart, so it didn't make any sound. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he stared at the vortex and waved his right hand. He and the blood sword disappeared. Wang Lin was already prepared. If it was the 7-color Taoist or old ghost John, he would leave without hesitation. The vortex rumbled and rapidly sped up. In an instant it was impossible to see clearly, but only 3 blurry figures were appearing. These 3 figures couldn't be attacked inside the vortex. Only when the vortex disappeared was it the best moment to attack. However, Wang Lin was no in rush to attack, and only took a closer look. As the 3 figures appeared, Wang Lin had already made some judgments. It wasn't the 7-colored Taoist or old ghost John. However, he remained cautious and waited for the 3 of them to appear. Soon the vortex disappeared and the 3 people inside became clear. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes when he got a good look at the 3. The 3 people wore clothes different from the people of the cave world. Their Taoist robes were the same as the old man from before was wearing. It was obvious they were members of the 7 Tao sect. Their cultivation levels were different. One of them was at the early stage of Nirvana Void and the other 2 were still at the 2nd step at the 5th Heaven's Blight. The moment the vortex disappeared and the 3 appeared clearly, Wang Lin attacked. The blood sword flew forward and Wang Lin closed in. His timing was very good. Just as the 3 got a good look at the surroundings and hadn't spread out their divine senses yet, the head of one of the celestials at the 2nd step flew off from his body as the blood sword flew by. Another person was splashed by the blood of his fellow sect member. However, just as he was about to retreat in terror, his vision was covered by a white figure. Wang Lin's finger landed between his eyebrows and his body collapsed. All of this happened too fast. In a flash, 2 out of 3 people had died. The early stage Nirvana Void cultivator didn't hesitate to retreat. At the same time, he reached behind him and grabbed an incense stick. He was about to ignite it. However, just at this moment he let out a cry. Before he could light the incense stick, he suddenly began to fall. This caused his expression to change greatly. There was a flash of bloodlight. Then Wang Lin formed a seal and slammed down on this person. A thunderous rumble echoed. The celestial was first pierced by the blood sword and then hit by Wang Lin's seal. He coughed out blood and then his body suddenly collapsed. It had taken him less than 3 breaths to kill 3 people. Wang Lin was about to leave, but he suddenly stopped and looked behind him. The killing intent appeared in his eyes once more. Someone else came as well. A vortex appeared tens of thousands of kilometers away. This figure was blurry, but it didn't look like a man. It looked like it was the figure of a woman. "It's her!" Wang Lin sneered and killing intent filled his eyes. The vortex began to disappear a moment later, and the vague figure inside became clear. It was a woman wearing a long purple dress with blue hair. She was very beautiful. If a mortal saw her, they would definitely be charmed. Even cultivators would be tempted to have thoughts of marking her their cultivation furnace. This woman was Xianxia from the Summoned Revered, the 7th concubine. Unlike the rest of her sisters, this woman was extremely loyal to the 7-colored celestial sovereign and even had tried to order Wang Lin around. If not for the fact that she was worried about Wang Lin's Li Guangbao, she would have tried to kill him there. This woman was not weak. Before Wang Lin had comprehended the restriction essence, it would have been a difficult fight. She would only have his Li Guangbao to worry about. However, now that he had the restriction essence, his ancient Dao bloodline was stronger, and with Yimo's right arm along with the law he had set, the situation was completely reversed. Even without the Li Guangbao, he had the power to kill this 7th concubine. Senior Qing Lin once said that the heaven-avoiding coffin belonged to her. This woman is a celestial imperial concubine, so she must know some secrets about this place. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he waved his right hand. The blood sword flew forward, and with a step he disappeared. The blood sword was abnormal. It wasn't silent but let out a loud and sharp shrill sound as it pierced the air. It shot toward the figure that was gradually becoming clear from the disappearing vortex. This intense, violent howling could shock one's mind and make them subconsciously retreat a few steps. However, Xianxia didn't retreat. The moment her vision became clear, she felt a monstrous killing intent coming toward her. She heard the howl and saw the blood sword flying at her. Her expression immediately changed and killing intent appeared. So he is here. Her body remained there, motionless, and her right hand waved. A purple cloud appeared and turned into a purple phoenix that flew toward the blood sword. When the purple phoenix and blood sword collided, a thunderous rumble echoed. The star system trembled and large amounts of cracks appeared as space began to collapse. The purple phoenix collapsed, but the blood sword couldn't move forward and was pushed back. The dissipating vortex behind Xianxia began to rotate once more. She knew Wang Lin had used the Li Guangbao several times, but she didn't know how many more times he could use it. After a moment of hesitation, she raised her right hand to take out a jade. She was going to leave and send out a message to get more people to come. She was aware of Wang Lin's stop spell. As a result, she decided to leave after taking out the jade. With the vortex helping block the spell, along with her cultivation, she could resist it. This woman was very cunning and very cautious. She would not carelessly take risks. However, just as she was about to crush the jade, Wang Lin's figure appeared in the distance. His voice echoed across the star system. "You're worthy of being the seven-colored celestial sovereign's favorite seventh concubine," Wang Lin slowly said. His words were sudden, but Xianxia understood him. Wang Lin saw that she hadn't taken another step and remained motionless. This strange action revealed that she not only knew about the 300 destroyed worlds, but she knew that the laws here were changed. However, none of the laws would apply if she didn't move. If she took that step, she would completely enter the world and would be affected by the laws. Wang Lin naturally understood this. Xianxia also knew. She understood it better than even the other concubines. She had gone to more than a dozen of the destroyed worlds and hadn't moved upon entering. She spread out her divine sense to lure people to come to her. "Since you want to leave, I won't send you off." When Wang Lin looked at the jade Xianxia had taken out, he turned around and left, but his heart was gloomy. He had watched the 7 Dao sect disciple taking out the incense, and now Xianxia had taken out the jade. It was clear that these people had made some kind of agreement before entering. This would make this whole ordeal a bit more difficult. This Xianxia is too cautious. If she chooses to leave, I won't be able to keep her here, given her cultivation level. However, it's unknown if the jade will send a message to the 7-colored Taoist or Old Ghost John. But from what she said before, she was very loyal to the 7-colored celestial sovereign and could communicate with the 4 generals. She may be sending a message to the 4 generals. However, even if it's the 7-colored Taoist or Old Ghost John, it doesn't matter. I was prepared for them to come. Only this Xianxia is too cautious. If I don't kill her this time, she will become even more on guard, and killing her will become even more difficult. As for the Li Guangbao, it's not time to use it. Wang Lin's movement suddenly became hasty for a moment, but that was soon hidden by him. He waved his right hand and the blood sword silently arrived beside him. It followed him into the distance. Seeing that Wang Lin was about to disappear, Xianxia, who was still inside the vortex, began to hesitate. She didn't know if she should send out the message. This Wang Lin has the Li Guangbao, but he chose not to take it out when he clearly saw my jade. Instead, he chose to leave. He seemed a bit hasty there. Could it be that he was injured while fighting others before I arrived? Earlier, he only attacked with the sword and not in person. Most importantly, that sword was too loud, as if its shocking value is stronger than the attack. As if he was trying to scare people away. Could it be that he is seriously injured and can't use the Li Guangbao? I might fall into his trap once I leave. If I send out the message and it is really as I guessed, the 4 generals would be able to take the 3rd soul without effort. I refuse to allow that to happen. However, this person is very cunning. Is he really injured or faking his injury? Xianxia's expression constantly changed, and she was still uncertain. Wang Lin's figure was about to disappear when he revealed that trace of haste again. It was like a subconscious body reaction when one suppresses the injuries in their body. If he is really injured, this is a great opportunity. If I can kill him and take the 3rd soul, whether I give it to the 7-colored Taoist or Old Ghost John, it would be a great merit. In the future, I'll have a place even on the immortal astral continent. Xian clenched her teeth and was about to give up on leaving, but she still hesitated. She waved her right hand and purple mist appeared. A purple sword flew out from within and flew toward Wang Lin. I'll try once more. If his performance is too obvious, then there is something wrong. Xia's eyes lit up and she stared ahead. The purple flying sword was very fast and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. It arrived within 1,000 feet of him. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he raised his right index finger. When the sword filled with her arcane void cultivation arrived, Wang Lin's finger touched the tip of the sword. The moment he pointed at the tip of the sword, Wang Lin's thoughts raced. He gave up on showing that he was injured and instead displayed his full cultivation. Aside from the 7th essence, his first 6 essences all erupted out of his body into his right index finger. A thunderous rumble echoed and the sword collapsed into a purple mist. Wang Lin's body trembled, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he stared at Xianxia in the distance and killing intent appeared in his eyes. His 6 essences surrounded his body and his momentum was powerful, as if he was not injured at all. He stared at Xianxia for a few breaths before sneering and turning away. Inside the vortex, Xixia's eyes shined brightly. He is injured. And it is not a minor injury. If he was trying to trick me, he would have pretended to be more weak to make me follow. However, he didn't pretend to be injured and instead displayed his full cultivation to try to cover up his injury to trick me. Only someone who is truly injured and is afraid of being seen through would act like this. In particular, she saw the vortex appear around Wang Lin's figure. It was a sign of him leaving this world. This made her even more certain. I can't be wrong. Wang Lin, you can't escape. They all say you're as cunning as a fox, but you still revealed your weakness. Xianxia put away the jade and gave up on sending the message. Greed appeared in her eyes, and she was worried that Wang Lin would escape. Without hesitation, she stepped out of the vortex. The moment she stepped forward and the vortex disappeared, she completely gave up the chance to leave. However, just as she took this step, her body suddenly began to fall. This sudden change caused her expression to change greatly. Not good. Just at this moment, Wang Lin turned around and killing intent appeared. He immediately charged at her, and a flash of blood light flew toward her as well. All of this happened in a flash. Xianxia didn't have any time to react. She didn't even have time to take out the jade as the blood sword closed in on her. Wang Lin's figure occupied her vision. An arrow of blood sprayed out from Xixia's chest and stained her purple dress. It didn't look red but black. Her broken clothes revealed her skin, a sight that would make anyone's heart throb. The woman was wearing very little under her dress. Now that her dress was damaged, a lot of her skin was revealed. Wang Lin has cold-hearted to his enemies, even if they were female, and showed no compassion. If it was anyone else, they would have become lustful after taking a look. The blood sword pierced through Xixia's chest. As blood sprayed everywhere, the blood sword buzzed in excitement. The blood sword was filled with killing intent. It flew out to drink blood and wouldn't return until it had. As the blood spread out from her chest, Xixiang's face was pale and she coughed out blood. As she fell, she was going to take out a treasure to support herself, but how could Wang Lin give her the chance? The moment the blood sword pierced her chest, Wang Lin appeared before Xianxia, filling her vision. His essences rushed out. Xianxia had no time to react at all. The fire essence turned into a giant vermilion bird and surrounded Xianxia. The power of the fire raged and its might was irresistible. After the fire, the thunder essence turned into a thunder dragon. It charged in after the vermilion bird toward Xianxia. Life and death, karma, and true and false appeared. Bloodlines appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and spread out. Bloodlines appeared around all Xianxia and blocked all paths of retreat. Finally, the slaughter essence entered Wang Lin's hand. This caused his hand to become something that could slaughter all life. The moment the slaughter essence appeared, the star system became cold. Red snowflakes appeared and began to fall. This happened in a flash as all 7 essences rushed out. Xianxia coughed out 3 mouthfuls of blood, and even now she still hadn't managed to take out a treasure. She didn't even have time to form a seal. 6 essences rumbled as Xianxia watched a huge palm penetrate the essences and land between her eyebrows. There was a thunderous rumble and Xianxia coughed out blood once more. A large amount of bloodlines appeared on her body, making it seem like she was going to be torn apart. Intense pain came from her heart, and even her origin soul was seriously injured. Her face became pale and a sense of despair filled her body. However, just at this moment, her sinking body suddenly stopped as the law that stopped flying began to disappear. But this was part of Wang Lin's plan. Just as the law was about to disappear, Wang Lin closed in and pointed at Xianxia. Stop! One point to stop the body, the mind, the soul. Stop the heavens and earth. Xixia's body was suddenly shrouded by the stop spell. Even though the law had dissipated, she continued to fall. She couldn't even take out her treasures, and even her thoughts were stopped. Wang Lin suppressed the rebound force and closed in on Xixia. He quickly pointed at her 9 times. Each time Xixia would tremble as Wang Lin sent a sealing force into her. After all 9 points landed, the seal was complete. A spider web-like restriction appeared around Xixia, sealing her completely. With a wave of his sleeve, Xixia's body disappeared without a trace and was captured by Wang Lin. This battle was extremely clean. It had taken less than 10 breaths of time. Wang Lin hadn't killed Xixia because she had many things he was interested in. With her captured, he could kill her at any moment. The bloodlight flashed and returned to Wang Lin. As it buzzed, Wang Lin walked forward. A large vortex appeared below him and he disappeared into it. 3 waves of people have entered this world. It will be difficult to deal with a 4th, so I might as well leave. Wang Lin knew that the 300 destroyed worlds were connected, and that he could go from one to another. Although he didn't know the seal, he could break his way through. In one of the 300 destroyed worlds, a vortex appeared. The vortex rumbled loudly, immediately catching the attention of the people here. The White Tiger General was standing in the sky above a planet. Below him were millions of soldiers. They were fighting in a great battle. Blood flowed like a river and there were constant death. The millions of soldiers were spread across the plain as far as the eye could see. This kind of battle between mortals was rare to see. I didn't expect to encounter this much slaughter here. Kill more. The more you kill, the more killing intent I can absorb. Although I can't bring it out of here, I can use it in this world. I was the first person to enter this world, and all the laws were set by me. Unless it is the 7-color Taoist or old ghost John, whoever else comes here will be affected by my laws. The White Tiger General had followed the 7-colored celestial sovereign for a long time, so he naturally knew about the 300 destroyed worlds. At this moment he was very excited. On the earth, the 2 armies each had their own generals. On one side there was a general who rode white horse with tiger spots. He wore a set of white armor and his cape was made of tiger skin. His eyes were cold but also revealed excitement. In an instant, an invisible and mysterious connection between him and the White Tiger General appeared. Also in the sky, a middle-aged man was sitting before the White Tiger General. His expression was gloomy and his body fuzzy, as if he would disappear if the wind blew by. His eyes were closed and he looked panicked as sweat appeared on his forehead. He was an illusion like the White Tiger General. Aside from the 2 of them, no one else could see them. On the earth, there was a soldier in the army that was fighting against the White Tiger General's army. He looked panicked and let out a roar as he waved the lance in his hand. He killed the enemies around him, but his body trembled. He occasionally looked up at the sky with fear and anger. His appearance was the same as the middle-aged man in the sky. If Wang Lin was here, he would immediately recognize this person as the man from the 7th floor of the tower on planet 5 Elements. This world belonged to White Tiger, and he commanded the law. Just at this moment, the illusory White Tiger General looked up and his eyes revealed a strange light. On the earth, the general wearing the tiger cape looked up at the sky and sneered. Another came. Who could it be? The middle-aged man immediately looked up when he felt the vortex. He looked up and revealed a cruel expression. Come. More people means more chances to kill this White Tiger. This damn law. The vortex rotated and a vague figure appeared. This figure became clear, and then the vortex around the figure began to disappear. Just as the vortex was about to completely disappear, there was a flash of blood light and the blood sword flew out, sweeping the area. The blood-colored light spread, causing the area to be covered in dense killing intense. Wang Lin stood there as he calmly looked ahead. His divine sense suddenly spread out. Just as he appeared and his divine sense spread out, the expression of the White Tiger General and the middle-aged man changed. The White Tiger General's eyes were filled with monstrous excitement, and he began laughing loudly at the sky. He actually came here. Heaven is on my side. The middle-aged man was also startled and silently pondered, but he revealed a sneer as if he was watching someone suffer. Wang Lin's divine sense spread across the star system. This world was much larger than the world Wang Lin had used earlier. It was the size of the brilliant void and all heaven combined, But there were still only 9 planets. After his divine sense swept by, Wang Lin found the aura of the White Tiger General and the middle-aged man. However, he couldn't find the figures of those two. Wang Lin frowned and carefully examined this star system. A law is already set here. I just don't know what the law is. Also, why I can't find White Tiger General and the other one. Wang Lin's divine sense gathered on the 3rd planet and locked onto the tens of thousands of soldiers killing each other. His eyes suddenly narrowed, and after a long time Wang Lin understood. So it's like this. Wang Lin stood there and didn't even take half a step. This way he would be outside the effect of the laws. After he saw everything, he could decide to stay or leave. As for who set the law here and who the law benefits, I'll have to try it to see. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the vortex that was disappearing appeared once more. If anyone saw this, they would assume Wang Lin wanted to leave. Fellow cultivator Wang, why the rush to leave? This old man has set the law here. If you dare to enter, we can make a bet. The White Tiger General's voice echoed across the star system and entered Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but he sneered in his heart. He got the answer he wanted. Bet what? Bet you will lose to this old man's law after you enter. Oh? What are you betting? Wang Lin slowly spread out his divine sense. If you lose, the 3rd soul belongs to this old man. If you win, then I'll give a celestial oath to become your slave for 10,000 years. This old man makes this promise on my celestial bloodline. The White Tiger General's voice echoed across the star system. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, only an indiscernible smile appeared on his face. You set the law, so what if I enter? Wang Lin's divine sense had already spread out and gathered some clues from the planet. The law here was very likely something like chess, to separate a part of one's divine sense into the soldier below, and use the body of a mortal to face this slaughter of millions of soldiers. Their cultivation would be completely suppressed and impossible to use. The White Tiger General became a general, and the person from Planet 5 Elements became a soldier. That is the advantage the White Tiger General thinks he has. The 300 destroyed worlds can't seal bloodlines, but if it's focused on just 2 or 3 people, it can suppress their bloodline. If the bloodline is suppressed, there is no need to talk about cultivation. The White Tiger General is not only a celestial, but also has a powerful body. Although his celestial bloodline is suppressed, his body is still strong. Even though the suppression affects his body, it's still strong enough for him to be a general. As for the person from Planet 5 Elements, he doesn't cultivate his body and is like a scholar. As a result, the difference between a general and a soldier appears. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes, which shined with wisdom. The law of this place suppresses cultivation, and the White Tiger General is a celestial. When he saw me use the Li Guang Bao, he should have deduced that I don't have the celestial bloodline. The reason I can use the Li Guang Bao is because of the blood from the immortal celestial body. As someone without the celestial bloodline, my cultivation could be completely suppressed. Even the divine sense I split off would only be like that of an ordinary soldier. However, for them, with their bloodline, they can still display some power. This is the advantage he thinks he has. Also, because he thinks I don't have the celestial bloodline, he doesn't think it would increase the load of the world to have to suppress another person with the bloodline. Perhaps he thinks I have an ancient Tao inheritance and the body of an ancient god, but he doesn't know that I have obtained the ancient Tao bloodline. Although my bloodline would be suppressed, thanks to my cultivation, not only will I not be weaker than the White Tiger General, I'll be even stronger. Wang Lin decisively took a step forward. With one step, he entered the realm and a thunderous rumble echoed across the destroyed world. At the same time, a powerful force entered as if it was going to rip the world apart and weaken the law set by the White Tiger General. Just as Wang Lin expected, with the entire world suppressing 2 people, the suppression would be about 90% effective. However, if a 3rd person with a bloodline entered, the effect of the suppression could be spread out and reduced. The moment Wang Lin entered the world, the middle-aged man from Planet 5 Elements felt the suppression on his bloodline weaken. At the same time, the soldier formed by his divine sense down below shined brightly. This golden light was very dim, but it made the soldier become spirited. Even the lance in his hand seemed to have become more sharp. The enemy soldiers that arrived were immediately killed by him. The White Tiger General's expression changed and his eyes were filled with disbelief. It was just as Wang Lin thought. He didn't think Wang Lin had any bloodline power. However, the change in the law here caused his mind to tremble. He has bloodline power. Impossible, I definitely didn't feel any celestial blood from him. Even if he had any, it was fused into the Li Guang Bao. Wang Lin's body entered the destroyed world, became distorted, and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in the sky above the third planet. He formed a triangle with the White Tiger General and the person from Planet 5 Elements. The moment Wang Lin arrived, a portion of his divine sense split off out of his control and flew down toward the planet. It fused with a soldier on the opposite side of the White Tiger General. This soldier held a blade and was slicing down on an enemy, but he didn't realize that the White Tiger General was charging at him on a horse. The White Tiger General let out a roar and threw his lance at the soldier Wang Lin's divine sense had fused with. This soldier paused for a moment when Wang Lin's divine sense entered. His eyes shined and his hair turned white. His face became blurry and turned into Wang Lin's face. He suddenly turned around and chopped down his blade with a roar. The blade collided with the incoming lance. The lance was cut in half by Wang Lin and flew past him, penetrating into the enemy soldier behind him. After splitting the lance, the soldier Wang Lin had fused with looked up. He stared at the general on the white horse in the distance. At this moment, Wang Lin's original body had already sat down in the sky. There was a sneer on his face. The law here was like chess, and the chessboard was the fight between the two armies. As for the chess pieces, they were the soldiers or generals that their divine senses would form. The White Tiger General's expression was gloomy as he looked at Wang Lin. He closed his eyes and focused on the general that was formed by his divine sense. The white-armored general's eyes were filled with coldness. He pointed at the Wang Lin in the distance and black gas appeared. The black gas turned into 10 black-armored soldiers and rushed toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin laughed. In this battlefield, the sound of slaughter filled the world. Screams, roars, and all these various sounds mixed together to form the most spectacular music in this world. In the presence of this music, one's blood would boil. Wang Lin added blood to this blade and charged forward. He was wearing the armor of an ordinary soldier, but as he moved forward, he chopped down the enemy soldiers with one strike. Every time he killed a person, they would turn into a strand of gas that would enter Wang Lin. Slowly, he was surrounded by stands of black gas, making him look like an evil god. Wang Lin knew that all the soldiers here were fake, created by the law the White Tiger General had set. They were all part of the chessboard for the game of chess between the three of them. Kill, kill, kill. Wang Lin charged forward, gripped the iron blade, and swept at the soldiers that came at him. Wang Lin let out a roar and jumped into the air over someone's head. He used the descending force to smash the blade down on the first black-armored soldier. The black-armored soldier was terrified and looked up. In his eyes, the blood moon was hanging behind Wang Lin, and Wang Lin had replaced the blood moon. The black-armored soldier quickly raised the shield in his hand to block Wang Lin's terrifying blade. The blade flashed and a miserable scream echoed. This caused everyone around to become startled and look over. Wang Lin's blade descended and cut into the shield, causing it to collapse. Then Wang Lin's blade cut the black-armored soldier in half. Large amounts of black gas came from the black-armored soldier and gathered around Wang Lin. After killing 100 people and one of the black soldiers armored created by the White Tiger General, the black gas around Wang Lin was monstrous. It was at this moment that crackling sounds rang out. The black gas around Wang Lin condensed to form a set of black armor. In contrast to Wang Lin's white hair, it was a shocking sight. The blade in his hand also became black and a bit longer like a crescent moon. Wang Lin raised his blade and laughed. Wearing his black armor, he charged forward, waving his blade, killing more and more. In half an instant of time, the 10 black-armored soldiers were all killed by Wang Lin. After killing these 10, Wang Lin's armor almost wrapped around his entire body. He was only missing a helmet. He looked extremely powerful among the group of soldiers. The middle-aged man from the Planet 5 Elements was able to kill several people after surrounding himself in the golden light. The golden light covered his body to form a golden suit of armor, except the armor was very simple and couldn't compare with Wang Lin's armor at all. This caused the White Tiger General in the sky to open his eyes and look extremely gloomy. The The veins on his face were popping. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He focused back on the general his divine sense had formed, and another lance appeared. He retreated to gain distance from Wang Lin. But how could Wang Lin let him do as he wished? Wang Lin understood that his time was short. He had to finish this battle as soon as possible. Seeing the white-armored general retreat, Wang Lin let out a roar and his blade hit the ground. He borrowed the force to jump into the air and stepped on the head of soldiers as he chased after the white-armored general. Every step caused the person he stepped on to turn into black gas that surrounded him. After he took 100 steps, the black gas around him condensed and the sound of a hoarse cry could be heard. A black horse formed and Wang Lin rode the horse forward like a storm. No one was left alive as he charged forward. He charged at the white-armored general. The retreating white-armored general's expression changed greatly. He stared at Wang Lin closing in on the black horse and clenched the lance in his hand even tighter. At this moment, in the other destroyed world, the seven-colored Taoist was gloomy. He had gone through nearly 100 worlds and still hadn't found Wang Lin. He anxiously ripped a hole in space and walked through. His body suddenly trembled and his eyes were filled with joy. He had felt Wang Lin's aura. Although this aura was not in this world, it wasn't farm. He ripped open another hole and entered. Close. I feel that he is not far away. The seven-colored Taoist was filled with excitement at this moment. The white-armored general could no longer retreat. This was not a real battle where one could retreat, but a game of chess where two armies were fighting. In the battle, if the general retreated, the morale of the army would decrease. Wang Lin charged at him with a powerful momentum, making it impossible to continue retreating. If he retreated, that meant he feared Wang Lin. If he retreated, he might never win. After all, the more Wang Lin killed, the more powerful he would become. Even though he could kill as well, if he retreated now, he could not compare to Wang Lin in terms of momentum. Kill! The white-armored general roared. The white horse below him charged at Wang Lin. In the eastern part of the endless battlefield, a black and a white storm separated by 10,000 feet closed in on each other. Both storms were slaughtering along the way to get themselves the biggest advantage. Miserable screams echoed and countless died. The black and white storms got closer and closer. The white tiger general in the sky was shocked and his expression became distorted. His mind echoed in the white-armored general, and a blurry white tiger appeared behind the white-armored general. This tiger roared at Wang Lin. Even the white horse below the general seemed to turn into a white tiger. It let out a thunderous roar as it galloped. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by black gas that shrouded the black horse and his entire body. His white hair fluttered and the black blade in his hand looked like a butcher's knife. Fresh blood dripped from the tip of the blade. So what if you're a tiger? Today, I'm going to slaughter a tiger. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and were filled with coldness. The black gas surrounded him as if they formed the shadow of a giant. This giant wasn't ancient Dao Yemo but ancient Dao Wang Lin. 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet. In an instant, there was only 1,000 feet between the two of them. This was a distance that could be crossed in an instant. In a moment, the two closed in on each other. Kill! The white-armored general raised his head and let out a heaven-shaking roar. Wang Lin was different. He didn't let out a roar, and his black horse jumped into the air while he pondered. He raised his blade and swung in an arc filled with death. The light from the blade seemed to blend with the night itself and intersected with the blood moon behind him. One slice caused the sky to change color and the clouds to scatter. The sky itself seemed to collapse and gather in Wang Lin's blade. The white-armored general's lance gave off a dazzling white light and stabbed forward. The white tiger shadow behind him became blurry and fused with the lance. From a distance, this no longer looked like a lance but a pouncing white tiger. As the black and white collided, a thunderous rumble echoed across the world. It shook the earth, shocked the sky, and spread across the star system. As the rumble echoed, Wang Lin's blade collided with the lance. The lance collapsed and the white tiger let out a miserable howl. Wang Lin's blade also shattered into countless fragments. Their horses collided and both let out roars. Their heads exploded and they both disintegrated. They turned into black and white gas that scattered in all directions. The weapons had shattered and the horses had died. The two jumped off at the same time, and when they collided, they began a slaughter. Thunderous rumbles echoed, seeming to last forever. A moment later, an even more violent rumble echoed as if the world was going to be split in half. The white tiger general in the sky trembled and coughed out a mouthful of blood, but his face was still fierce. The general's face was fierce, and like the white tiger general, his killing intent was monstrous. However, after he coughed out blood, he looked at Wang Lin with fear in his eyes. How could he have such a powerful killing intent? How many people has he killed in his life? In the sky, Wang Lin's original body also trembled, and his face turned slightly pale. However, his eyes became even brighter. He looked at the white tiger general and his voice echoed, "You're going to lose. I, white tiger, will never lose. This is the law I set, I'll never lose." The white tiger general hit his chest with his right palm and coughed out another mouthful of blood. As his blood scattered around the ground, the white armor general's armor collapsed and he fell to the ground as blood flew out of his body. At this moment, the blood from the white tiger general landed and fused with the white armor general. He let out a roar as he got up and ignored Wang Lin. He began slaughtering the soldiers near him. For every person he killed, his injuries would recover a bit, and the collapsed armor would reform. Wang Lin was also knocked back due to the collision, and the armor around his body collapsed. He retreated more than 10,000 feet. At this moment, the white armor general was killing soldiers with no regard to who they were. The soldiers turned into white gas and fused with his body. The white armor general felt that it wasn't enough. His body trembled and 1,000 drops of blood flew out from his pores. The drops of blood turned into mist, and any soldier surrounded by it would melt. Then the blood mist would go to the next target. As a result, in just a moment a large amount of soldiers died. They died faster and faster. In the end, nearly 100,000 were killed. The white armor general jumped up, and as his arms opened, the auras of 100,000 dead soldiers gathered on him. His armor reformed and the white horse appeared once more. However, this wasn't the end. The 1,000 drops of blood were still killing. Wang Lin didn't use the same method, but his eyes lit up and locked onto the golden general formed by the middle-aged man from planet 5 Elements. When the golden general met Wang Lin's gaze, the hairs on his body stood up. He retreated without hesitation, but Wang Lin charged at him. Wang Lin's right hand smashed down without hesitation. The middle-aged man was the weakest one among the three, and the general he formed was the weakest as well. If the law wasn't here, it would have taken Wang Lin some effort to kill this person, but right now he wasn't killing the main body. He was merely killing a mortal avatar formed by the law, so it was fairly simple. Terrified, the middle-aged man didn't have a chance to fight back at all. As Wang Lin's hand descended, the golden general let out a miserable scream and his golden armor collapsed. The moment it collapsed, Wang Lin opened his mouth and devoured. Wang Lin's soul was a soul devourer, so his avatar naturally also had his ability. Although his cultivation was suppressed, this soul-related ability was still there. He couldn't devour the white armor general, but he could devour the weakest golden general. The golden general let out a miserable scream, but that didn't set off a wave in this war. After being devoured by Wang Lin, his body was surrounded by black gas. His collapsed armor reformed and was several times more powerful than before. This time, even the helmet formed and shrouded Wang Lin's head. This only left the white hair, which formed a sharp contrast with the black armor. A dragon cry echoed across the sky. What formed below Wang Lin this time was not a horse but a black dragon. Its body was made of fog and it circled around Wang Lin as it let out a roar at the white armor general. The white armor general heard this roar and suddenly looked up. His hand reached at the sky and the lance reformed, and the 1,000 drops of blood gathered into his body. In a flash, the white horse below him distorted and turned into a giant white tiger. He stood on the back of the white tiger and held the lance with crazed killing intent in his eyes. The white tiger jumped into the air and pounced at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's right hand raised and a large blade appeared. Holding the blade, he silently pondered as the black dragon charged at the white tiger. This battle would decide the victor. The two sides instantly closed in and collided. The tiger and dragon roared as they fought. The entire planet trembled as if it was going to collapse. Wang Lin's blade descended and collided with the white armor general's lance. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin let out a roar. As he roared, the ancient Dao shadow appeared behind him and descended with the blade. The White Tiger General let out a roar of despair as his lance collapsed. His armor collapsed, and the White Tiger below him collapsed. A line of blood appeared between his eyebrows as Wang Lin's blade descended, and his body collapsed. In the sky, the White Tiger General's face became deathly pale. He coughed out blood and his expression became dim. "From now on, you're my slave." Wang Lin suddenly stood up and his pupils shrank. He felt a powerful sense of danger coming. Without hesitating, he stepped forward and overlapped with the body formed by his divine sense. He opened his mouth and devoured the aura formed the collapsed white armor general. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by black gas, and it formed into a long blade in his hand. He raised the blade and stared at the sky. His pupils had shrunk until they were only dots as he focused all his power and the power of the law into the blade. This blade would contain the strongest power of this world. This blade would break the law the White Tiger General had set here. This blade would be a world-destroying blade created with the help of the law of this world. He was waiting for the person who had given him this sense of crisis to appear. At the same time, Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and fire appeared to form a small umbrella of fire. It disappeared from his hand. Wang Lin raised the blade and the black gas turned into a storm that connected to the sky. From afar, the storm looked like a shocking black dragon. The blade in Wang Lin's hand didn't move at all, as if it was frozen in place. As a result, Wang Lin's body and the black dragon storm formed a stark contrast. In this blend of static and movement, a shocking pressure came from Wang Lin's body. Due to the White Tiger General's divine sense avatar being devoured, and his oath, this pressure caused him to tremble. The pressure was like a mountain, causing the White Tiger General to yield. He trembled as he lowered his head. The middle-aged man from Planet 5 Elements was even worse off. Although he hadn't made a blood oath, his divine sense avatar had been devoured by Wang Lin. As the pressure spread out, he felt a sense of awe washing over him like an ocean wave. Wang Lin had no time to pay attention to the two of them. He focused all his attention on the blade. He slowly closed his eyes and no longer looked at the sky. He put his everything into the blade. The moment he closed his eyes, he could no longer hear any sounds. The only thing he could feel was this blade. This blade replaced his eyes and divine sense. As his cultivation gathered on it, it became a shockingly powerful blade. In the western part of this star system, a rumble echoed and a giant vortex appeared. As soon as the vortex appeared and hadn't even fully formed, it trembled violently before collapsing. Looking at how it collapsed, it was as if someone had torn it apart from within. The thunderous rumble echoed and the sharp, seven-colored light shined. Inside the light, the seven-colored Taoist stepped forward and entered this destroyed world. The moment he entered, the seven-colored Taoist clearly sensed Wang Lin's aura. His eyes revealed killing intent and coldness, and he also began to laugh. "Wang Lin, this lord has found you. I want to see how you will escape this time." Just at this instant on the third planet, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and the blade in his hand gave off a monstrous light. He let out a roar as he jumped into the sky and slashed with the most powerful blade. After slashing, he rapidly retreated. A giant blade energy appeared in the sky. It absorbed the storm around Wang Lin, his armor, and all the soldiers formed by the law. This blade energy immediately destroyed the law White Tiger had created. The White Tiger General coughed out blood and his expression became dim. The blade energy rushed into the sky and disappeared. When it reappeared, it was where the seven-colored Taoist was. Everything had happened too fast. The moment the seven-colored Taoist had arrived, Wang Lin had slashed down. The blade energy broke through the void and expanded to more than 100,000 feet. It no longer looked corporeal but solid as it flew toward the seven-colored Taoist. The blade energy was formed by the law here, and was fused with Wang Lin's full cultivation. Swinging this blade was the same as using the full power of one of the destroyed worlds to kill someone. It was impossible to describe the power of this blade. The blade energy was bright as it flew toward the seven-colored Taoist. The seven-colored Taoist's pupils shrank. Even with his cultivation level, he felt a sense of danger. This kind of thing was extremely rare. He had only felt it 3 times in his life, However, out of those 3 times, 2 happened while chasing Wang Lin. The first time was in the crack in the cloud sea, and the second time was now in this destroyed world. Borrowing the law here to form this blade. This Wang Lin was able to think of this in such a short period of time. This kind of wisdom is rare. However, the smarter he is, the more he needs to die. The 7-colored Taoist knew that with old Ghost John around, he couldn't afford to get injured. He waved his sleeve and 7-colored light began to flash. The light condensed into a 7-colored lotus with 7 petals, each petal with one of the 7 colors. It bloomed before the 7-colored Taoist. 7-colored Tao lotus, lotus gathers the soldiers. The moment the 7-colored Taoist spoke, he stepped into the lotus. The petals of the lotus shrank and surrounded his body. From a distance, this no longer looked like a lotus, just a flower bud. The blade closed in and landed on the 7-colored lotus bud. Thunderous rumbles echoed, causing the star system to tremble. The star system was torn in many places as the blade shattered into countless fragments. At the same time, the 7-colored lotus bud trembled. The 7 colors flashed and 2 of the petals shattered. However, the collapse of the blade and 2 petals created a destructive force. This destructive force spread out like crazy with the 7-colored lotus at the center. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the star system. The star system began to collapse inch by inch as if it was being torn apart by force. The star system trembled and continued to collapse. As the destructive wave spread, everything in its path collapsed. Even the 9 planets trembled, and 7 of them exploded. They turned into black holes that devoured everything. This world would no longer exist. The 3rd planet rumbled. Large ravines appeared on its surface, and the sky changed colors. As the earth trembled, it began to collapse. The earth rumbled and large amounts of rocks flew into the air. It looked like the end of the world. Blood flowed out of the corner of Wang Lin's mouth and he revealed a helpless expression. The 7-colored Taoist was too strong. He didn't hesitate to retreat, and a vortex appeared behind him. As he stepped into the vortex, there was a roar that echoed across the star system. The lotus bud suddenly appeared above the collapsing 3rd planet and opened up, revealing the 7-colored Taoist sitting inside. 7-colored Tao lotus, lotus opens to welcome death. The 7-colored Taoist suddenly raised his hand and pointed at Wang Lin. Although the 7-colored Taoist looked normal, he was very gloomy. That blade from before was far more powerful than what he imagined Wang Lin could do. It didn't feel like it was Wang Lin that had attacked him. It was more like the entire destroyed world had attacked him. Even he was shocked by the power of that blow. Also, the 7-colored lotus platform had actually lost 2 petals, which made his heart ache. Killing intent filled his body. As the 7-colored Taoist pointed, the remaining 5 petals of the 7-colored lotus platform flew off. They were going to seal and kill Wang Lin. The 7-colored Taoist jumped into the air and chased after Wang Lin, following the 5 colors. At this moment, Wang Lin's body had fused with the vortex and he was about to leave. However, the 7-colored Taoist was attacking and had combined his attack with the collapse of the 3rd planet. The 5 lotus petals closed in and a sense of life and death filled Wang Lin's heart. However, since Wang Lin had dared to stay here to attack with that blade, he obviously had come prepared. Although he acted on impulse sometimes, every move he made had a purpose. As the petals closed in on him, his left hand reached at the void and a sea of fire surrounded him. It turned into a huge flaming umbrella. Realm-burning umbrella. The umbrella didn't cover the sky but was held in Wang Lin's hand like a normal-sized umbrella. The realm-burning umbrella required a lot of restrictions and took some time to prepare, so it was not good to use at a moment of danger. However, Wang Lin had already thought of a path of retreat. His left hand secretly created the umbrella while he waited. Although this would burn a bit more life force, it was worth it. At this moment, the umbrella was inside his left hand, and it suddenly opened to cover up his body. The moment the umbrella opened, fire rushed out. The 5 petals closed in and were blocked by the fire. Every petal that landed on the umbrella caused a tremble that shook Wang Lin's heart. However, he used this force to retreat 3 steps. After 3 steps, his body completely fused with the vortex. As the fire blocked any view of him, Wang Lin left this world. The moment Wang Lin disappeared, he heard an angry roar. The 7-colored Taoist followed the petals and rushed into the vortex. He raised his right hand and a seven-colored hand clawed at Wang Lin. However, this claw missed as Wang Lin had left. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, you can't escape this lord. The seven-colored Taoist didn't even look at the White Tiger General and the person from Planet 5 Elements. He rushed into the vortex after Wang Lin. After Wang Lin and the seven-colored Taoist left, the third planet collapsed and was destroyed along with this world. The White Tiger General looked up with a complicated gaze. His vow was already in effect, and Wang Lin had even had time to give him an order. He had to obey it. He struggled to get up and charged at the pale-faced Planet 5 Elements cultivator. Capture him, I have great use for him. This was the first order Wang Lin had given the White Tiger General before leaving. Perhaps there were now less than 300 destroyed worlds. After all, countless years had passed, so some may have been destroyed as time passed, and some might have already been destroyed a long time ago. At this moment, in one world, a vortex appeared and a ray of light charged out without waiting for the vortex to completely appear. The figure inside the light had white clothes. It was Wang Lin. The moment after he walked out of the vortex, he turned around and raised his right hand. Yimo's right arm appeared and ripped the void behind him. The void was ripped open and split the vortex in half, causing it to collapse. All of this happened in a flash. Wang Lin walked into the rift that was created by the heaven-rippling spell and disappeared. The moment after he disappeared, a cold snort came from the void. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the seven-colored Taoist walked out of the collapsed vortex. His eyes were filled with coldness and he was very gloomy. If Wang Lin hadn't reacted so quickly and used the destruction of the vortex to slow him down, Wang Lin wouldn't have been able to leave so calmly. He would have been caught by the seven-colored Taoist. The hunt continued. Wang Lin used his various spells to travel between the worlds. The seven-colored Taoist followed closely behind. If Wang Lin made one mistake, he would be caught. As he moved through the worlds again and again, it caught the attention of the rest of the people in the 300 destroyed worlds. Their divine senses slowly gathered and followed after the seven-colored Taoist. I need to lose him quickly. Otherwise, if I continue to move through the worlds, it will attract more attention. Once old Ghost John appears and both of them are chasing at me, it will be hard to lose them. Wang Lin appeared from a vortex and entered another destroyed world. Just as he was about to leave, his expression changed. This world was different from the other worlds. It contained a shocking aura that appeared and disappeared. This aura seemed to belong to a fierce beast. The reason it was appearing and disappearing was likely because the beast sleeping. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and it was as if thunder had flashed through his mind. He didn't stay but remembered this place and quickly left. The seven-colored Taoist looked gloomy as he also sensed the beast's aura. This aura even alarmed him, and he thought Wang Lin would awaken the best to cause chaos in order to escape, but Wang Lin hadn't done this. At this moment, the seven-colored Taoist couldn't think too much. He stepped into the vortex and chased after Wang Lin. Wang Lin moved very fast. Although he had moved through dozens of worlds, he had only gone in one direction. The star systems were like many mirrors, and Wang Lin was just moving in and out of one mirror. Although he would go into a different world each time, his location didn't change. As he moved through the worlds by force, and with the seven-colored Taoist following him, even a powerful barrier would show signs of collapsing. Wang Lin understood the 300 destroyed worlds. The reason the 300 destroyed worlds could exist for so long was because of the yellow flower. The 300 destroyed worlds absorbed nutrients from the flower to be able to become eternal. The flower was a treasure the seven-colored celestial sovereign had obtained on the immortal astral continent. It had no offensive power, but it contained amazing life force. Using it to heal would cut the time required by half. If it wasn't for the fact that Lian Daofei had appeared too suddenly, the seven-colored celestial sovereign wouldn't have ended up in such a sorry state. The seven-colored Taoist who didn't have any of the memories didn't know of this. Even the 4 generals and concubines didn't know this much. They only knew about the 300 destroyed worlds. As Wang Lin continued to move, the barrier between the worlds became unstable and thunderous rumbles echoed. Every time he moved from one world to another, a heaven-shattering rumble would echo. This change immediately caught the attention of the seven-colored Taoist. His eyes narrowed and he sneered. "You dare to use this kind of small trick on this lord? This Wang Lin simply wants to use the collapse of the barriers to block my pursuit, and even use this power to injure me. It is indeed a good idea, but since I've seen through him, there is no chance of success. The seven-colored Taoist's eyes lit up and seven-colored light shined. It began to reinforce the barrier between the worlds. With his cultivation reinforcing the barrier, the effect was good. However, his expression remained gloomy and he only reinforced it in secret, so only a flash of seven-colored light could be seen. This child is cunning. If he finds out that I've already seen through his plan, he could change and cause unnecessary trouble. I'll let him think it's working and then capture him once he thinks he has succeeded. The seven-colored Taoist smiled and casually gave chase. As the two people followed, Grand Emperor Xian Luo was still observing all of this. He thought about helping Wang Lin resolve this problem, but this idea only appeared for a moment before it disappeared. This child needs to rely on himself for this test. If he can notice my presence, I'll help him. This is my last test for him. Wang Lin, don't disappoint me. Xian Luo pondered and naturally saw Wang Lin and the seven-colored Taoist's behavior. After pondering for a moment, he naturally saw through their thoughts. If the barrier in the worlds collapses, he could escape, but now his plan has been seen through. How will he adapt? Xian Luo slowly followed. Wang Lin moved between the worlds, and he was aware that the barrier was about to collapse. His eyes shined, and as he disappeared into a vortex, he took out the ghostly sail without anyone noticing. In a flash, the ghostly sail covered his body, and when he appeared, the sail was gone. All of this happened when he was moving between worlds, so no one had noticed. The seven-colored Taoist's full attention was focused on the barrier that was about to collapse. He believed he had seen through Wang Lin and that Wang Lin could not escape. Following his lock on Wang Lin, the seven-colored Taoist's pursuit took almost the exact same path as Wang Lin. Time slowly passed. In a flash, one incense stick of time went by. After doing it over 100 times, Wang Lin stepped out of the vortex and entered a star system. This was the first time he didn't immediately enter another world. He moved very fast, flew more than 100,000 feet, and curled up. Light shined and slowly became distorted. A moment later, an illusion appeared around Wang Lin. He had disappeared and was replaced by an ordinary-looking planet. Just as he turned into a planet, seven-colored light filled the vortex he had come out of. The seven-colored Taoist didn't hesitate and immediately went back inside the vortex. Grand Emperor Xian Luo saw all of this, causing his pupils to shrink. He took a profound look at the planet Wang Lin had formed, and there was a hint of shock in his eyes. Such a cunning mind. This child is a dragon amongst men. Xian Luo silently pondered, and his eyes revealed a sense of admiration he had never shown before. After the seven-colored Taoist left, several more people came and quickly left. Even after they left, the planet Wang Lin had turned into still didn't change. Shortly after, old Ghost John appeared where the vortex disappeared. His body didn't reveal any aura at all, as if he was dead. He revealed a sneer as he stepped forward and disappeared from this world. It wasn't until this moment that the planet Wang Lin had turned into move and dissipated, revealing Wang Lin. He looked at where everyone gone, and his expression remained the same. A vortex appeared beside him and he stepped inside. He went in the opposite direction of where everyone had gone, and because he was very cautious, no one knew where he was going. After moving through 4 destroyed worlds, he stopped into the 5th destroyed world. This was the place he had passed through before with the aura of a fierce beast, and he carefully moved forward. Wang Lin came to the planet in this world. This was a desert planet with no mountains or basins. It was just yellow sand plains everywhere. Wang Lin sat here and let out a deep breath. His eyes revealed killing intent. Now it is time for my first counterattack. Even if I use one of my 3 lives, I'll give these people pursuing me a lesson they will never forget. It should be a while before the seven-colored Taoist notices that something is wrong. Enough time for me to set up an ambush. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and he pressed down on the earth beside him. Wang Lin was very smart, and it was very difficult for others to outsmart him. The moment he entered the 300 destroyed worlds, he was already thinking of a plan to escape people hunting him. In the end, he thought of this scheme within a scheme. The barrier connecting the worlds was the first scheme. Wang Lin deduced that this first scheme couldn't fool the seven-colored Taoist or old ghost John, and he wanted them to find out. Once they really found the place, they would unknowingly fall into the second scheme. Once they thought they had seen through Wang Lin's scheme, they would relax. Using this moment and the fact that the pursuit had formed a cycle, Wang Lin would use the ghostly sail to place them in an illusion. The main point wasn't the collapse of the barrier or the illusion, but the fact that Wang Lin had repeated this action over 100 times. This made the people chasing him have subconscious habits and tendencies. These were the conditions for putting them inside an illusion.